Chapter 472. Qi. Qi. The tip of the saber created countless sparks on the ground. Xiao Chun charged at Xieziwen and faced the palm strike aimed at his chest. Xiao Chun did not dodge or retreat at all. It was like he was letting Jiang Zimo hit him. What is he doing? His chest is full of openings. One palm strike is enough to decide victory. When the spectating contestants saw this, they all shook their heads in confusion. However, Jiang Zimo's expression changed slightly. Just as the palm strike was about to land on Xiao Chen's chest, he pushed off the ground. Xiao Chun retreated quickly, leaving behind several afterimages. When he reached the edge of the arena, he stopped and scattered the palm energy. He smiled bitterly and said, "You win, I admit defeat." What's going on? Jiang Zimo won the moment he landed that palm strike. Why did he admit defeat for no reason? I don't understand. What the hell is going on? I don't understand either. What exactly is going on? Can anyone tell me how he won with just one charge? Jiang Zimo's moves are too strange. When the crowd saw Jiang Zimo suddenly admit defeat, they could not figure it out. They could not understand what was going on. Up on the high platform, Shi Hailong smiled and nodded gently. The few old men beside him also nodded to themselves. There were some things that could not be seen on the surface without reaching a certain level of cultivation. Shi Hailong smiled gently and said, "Of these two, one is courageous and dares to go all out. The other knows when to advance and when to retreat. He does not pursue victory on purpose. There are so many geniuses. Actually, this is why they stand out from the rest." An old man at the side nodded and said, "In terms of techniques, it is hard to tell who is superior. Xiao Chen's saber techniques and Jiang Zimo's palm techniques. Neither can do anything to the other. If they want to win, they can only fight beyond techniques. They have to use strategy and their specialties to tilt the scales in their favor." Another person continued, "Jiang Zimo's specialty is his endurance in combat. Thus, we need to delay the battle as much as possible. When the other party's essence qi weakens, we can truly deal a heavy blow to decide the victor. Xiao Chen's specialty is his strong physical body and explosive essence. However, if he continues, he will exhaust too much of his essence. Thus, he used an internecine situation to force Jiang Zimo to decide the victor in one move. Even if he is severely injured, he does not care." Shi Hailong smiled gently and said, "These two are geniuses. I really look forward to the ancient desolate tower. I wonder how far they can go. Perhaps they will shock us." When the martial monarch experts on the stage explained the simple battle, the crowd below was flabbergasted. They did not expect that this seemingly ordinary move would have so many tricks to it. All of them fell into deep thought and started to comprehend it. Xiao Chun scattered the blue dragon qi on his left hand. He looked at Jiang Zimo, who had retreated to the edge of the arena, and said, "Actually, you can take a gamble. After I am severely injured, my body will definitely weaken. I might not be able to defeat you." Jiang Zimo shook his head and smiled. "There is no need to be humble. I will not gamble without a 70% chance of victory. You win this match. Let's see who can go further in the ancient desolate tower." Geniuses naturally had the confidence of geniuses. Although Jiang Zimo had lost this match, he did not doubt that he would get one of the 20 spots. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "In that case, let's meet again in the ancient desolate tower." The arena battles continued. Xiao Chen felt somewhat helpless. Aside from Jiang Zimo, his opponents for the next few rounds all gave up before they even fought. After the 15th round of drawing lots ended, Xiao Chun drew a blue wooden token with the number 8. When he walked to the arena with the number 8, he found an interesting person. Xiao Chun discovered that his opponent was a rather interesting person. It was the Holy Fire Manor's young manor lord, Lung Yun, whose extreme Yin Flame's origin flame had been stolen by Xiao Chun. When Lung Yun saw Xiao Chun leap into the arena, his lips could not help but twitch. He clenched his fist tightly, nearly releasing his killing qi. Lung Yun calmed himself down and his expression returned to normal. He said, "I am not comparable to you. I admit defeat." However, Xiao Chun did not want to let him off. He smiled faintly and said, "Why admit defeat? Don't you want your origin flame back?" When Lung Yun, who was preparing to enter the arena, heard this, His expression immediately turned cold. The suppressed rage in his heart erupted. He clenched his fists tightly and cracked them. Lung Yun had cultivated the extreme flame origin flame for 10 years before it was barely the size of an infant's fist. 10 years of hard work had been snatched away by Xiao Chun. This was worse than killing him. Lung Yun closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. Then he said in a cold voice, "It's fine. Keep it safe for now. When the time comes, I will take it back with interest." As Xiao Chun watched Lung Yun leave, he frowned slightly. This fellow's temperament is indeed calm. Even after receiving such a shock, he can still remain calm and not do anything rash. Xiao Chun's plan to cripple Lung Yun openly in the arena ended in failure. After the battle ended, Xiao Chun returned to the area below the Tianwu Emperor's statue. Then, he and the others started to pay attention to the battles. This Chu Chaoyun is really low profile. Unexpectedly, he won 15 matches in a row without anyone noticing. Even Pei Xiaoxian lost to him. The most important thing is that I have not seen him draw the sword on his back. I did not expect the great Qin nation to have such a powerful person aside from Xiao Chun. I underestimated them in the past. That Duamuking seems to have won 10 matches as well. His strength is not to be underestimated either. The contestants who were not fighting or had already finished their matches started discussing in soft voices as they watched the crowd in the arena. Xiao Chun felt excited. He followed the crowd's gaze and looked over. Chu Chaoyun's opponent was a swordsman from the great Chu nation. Chu Chaoyun carried a sword on his back and always had a calm expression on his face. It did not look deliberate or pretentious. It was like this was how he should be, everything was very natural. After not seeing him for half a year and parting at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Chu Chaoyun was still the same as when Xiao Chun first met him. There was no change in him at all. Xiao Chun never doubted Chu Chaoyun's strength. Even though Chu Chaoyun had improved rapidly and defeated countless geniuses from the various nations, Xiao Chun still felt that he could not see through Chu Chaoyun. Xiao Chun still felt that he could not see through Chu Chaoyun. He was like an old well. The more he thought about it, the more unfathomable it became. He won again. This fellow has won 15 matches in a row. Like Zuo, Xiao Chun and the others, he has not lost a single match. He is really a dark horse. This is too shocking. Chu Chaoyun's match ended. After putting in some effort, he defeated this swordsman from the great Chu nation. Then he walked off the arena silently. After a few days, no one would dare to underestimate Xiao Chun anymore. Even the expressions of peak people like Jiang Zimo, Chu Mu, and Xia Xian changed when they looked at him. Night slowly fell. The first day of the arena battles ended just like that. Some people rejoiced and some people worried. Those who were lucky were very pleased. They said that they had not met any powerful people in the previous matches. They had easily dealt with their opponents and obtained most of their victories. Those who were unlucky could not stop complaining. Most of their 15 matches had been against people of Zuomo's level. This resulted in them losing most of their matches, placing them at the bottom. Of course, these were only the minority. Most of them had good or bad luck. There were strong and weak opponents. They had relied on their strength to fight their way up. Shi Hailong stood on the tall platform and said loudly, "Don't leave. We will spend the night in the plaza. When the results of the matches are out tomorrow, we will immediately activate the ancient desolate tower. The ancient desolate tower has to be activated before dusk." When the crowd heard this, they did not have much of a reaction. They were just going to spend the night in the plaza. There was no pressure at all. Everyone found a place and sat down cross-legged. Then they started to regulate their breathing or cultivate. Xiao Chun found a place with fewer people. He did not hesitate and sat down cross-legged. Then he closed his eyes and started to cultivate. Early the next morning, when the sun shone down, the cultivators sitting cross-legged opened their eyes and started to loosen their muscles and bones, preparing for the next day's matches. The first round of drawing lots started. Xiao Chun obtained a red wooden token with the number 23 written on it. After the first 18 contestants finished their matches, he would draw lots. After the first 18 contestants finished their matches, Xiao Chun found an arena and hung up his wooden token. Then, he quietly waited for his opponent. I hope there will not be another cultivator who cowers before the fight. That would be nothing, Xiao Chun thought helplessly. Xiao, Just as Xiao Chan was muttering to himself, a familiar figure leaped onto the arena. That person looked at Xiao Chan and smiled faintly. Your luck is quite bad. Unexpectedly, you drew the feared white-robed bladesman. Xiao Chan squinted his eyes and looked at this person with a grave expression. He said, Chu Chao. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and said, there is no need to reminisce about the past. Just like before, we will each make a move. We will decide the victor in one move. Xiao Chan placed his right hand on his saber hilt and said, sure. I am very curious as well. Is your sword as sharp as before? The two stood 100 meters apart and stared at each other. Their auras continued to gather as they stared at each other in the air. It was like a clash between a saber and a sword. There was a faint clanging sound. The air around the arena spun rapidly. The two's clothes and hair fluttered in the wind. At some point in time, Chu Chaoyun's right hand had already moved to the hilt of the sword on his back. On his handsome face, the usual calmness slowly dissipated and was replaced by a dignified expression hanging on the corner of his mouth. Xiao Qin's gaze turned cautious. As he gathered his aura, the state of thunder and state of massacre also started to circulate and merge quickly. Xiao Chan had never been confident of defeating Chu Chaoyun. The first time they fought, he lost miserably in just half a move. The second time they fought in the fiery sect remnant in the ink forest. Due to the interference of others, they were forced to stop fighting. Ever since Xiao Chan made his debut, all the people who had stepped on him, suppressed him and defeated him, no matter who it was, were all overtaken by Xiao Chan in the end. After that, Xiao Chan left them far behind, leaving behind an insurmountable chasm that they could never surpass. Only Chu Chaoyun had been unfathomable from the start. Even though Xiao Chan had many fortuitous encounters and spent all his time cultivating, he still could not see through Chu Chaoyun. However, Xiao Chan had never feared a challenge. Long ago, when he was only a martial master, he already dared to fight with Chu Chaoyun. Now the gap between them was shrinking. He was no longer the Xiao Chan of the past. Why would he not dare? A lofty aspiration rose in Xiao Qin's heart. His gaze became even sharper. His gaze seemed solid, as sharp as a saber's edge. Chapter 473. Look, Chu Chaoyun looks like he is about to draw his sword. In the arena battles, no one paid much attention to Xiao Qin's duels. This was because they were boring. Most of his opponents chose to admit defeat. However, once he encountered an opponent of the same level, he would immediately attract everyone's attention, and their attention would be focused on him. In the first round of selections, Chu Chaoyun took the initiative to give up after obtaining 60 consecutive victories. Even after 60 consecutive victories, he did not draw his sword. However, at that time Chu Chaoyun and Zhua Emo had been assigned to the same wrestling ring. Zhua Emo had covered up all the glory, so no one had noticed him. However, in the second round of selections, Chu Chaoyun had fought 15 matches on the first day, and he had not lost a single match. He still did not draw his sword. Even when facing Pei Shaoxian, no one saw Chu Chaoyun draw his sword. It was like his sword was just a decoration. The more this was so, the more curious the crowd became. They wanted to see if this person was like Xiao Chan. They were both cultivators from the great Qin nation. After they drew their swords, they wanted to see how graceful they would be. Among the crowd, Hua Yunfei and the others looked at Xiao Chan and Chu Chaoyun in the arena. They looked at each other speechlessly, feeling very depressed in their hearts. Not long ago, these two people were just as famous as them. Today, just one Xiao Chan was enough to deal them a blow. Who knew another Chu Chaoyun would appear? The disappointment of this group of outstanding talents from the great Qin nation could be easily imagined. As the two's auras clashed intensely in the arena, the whirlwind that rose from the ground became even more ferocious. It slowly spread outside the arena. The whirlwind kicked up some dust on the ground and made everyone's vision blur. They could not help but squint and look carefully. Xiao! The surging strong wind suddenly stopped. Kasie! Kasu! Two crisp sounds of weapons being unsheathed rang out. Chu Chaoyun and Xiao Chan made their moves at the same time. Behind Chu Chaoyun, a golden shadow suddenly lit up. The golden light was dazzling and dazzling, so much so that everyone felt a stinging pain in their eyes. State of light. Chu Chaoyun actually comprehended the strongest state of light among the elemental states. Everyone's hearts jolted and they were extremely shocked. Xiao! Amidst the golden light that filled the sky, a sword light that was even more dazzling than the golden light shot out. The sword intent was vast and boundless, stabbing at Xiao Chun with lightning speed. The instant the golden light appeared, Xiao Chun released the state of thunder and state of massacre that he had been suppressing. Purple light spread out behind Xiao Chun. Lightning flickered, accompanied by a boundless state of massacre. The red light of the state of massacre merged with the boundless lightning. Bang bang bang. As soon as the fight began, the states of both sides began to compete. The sky was filled with resplendent golden light, and the strange and boundless purple-red light collided with each other in the arena. A series of intense explosions resounded in the arena. The stone slabs on the surface of the arena shattered into pieces and rapidly floated into the air. Xiao! Amidst the chaotic arena, two figures flashed by amidst the lights of various colors. They were so fast that the eyes of the onlookers could not keep up with them. The situation in the arena was very chaotic. Lights of various colors flickered and countless shattered stone slabs flew everywhere. The crowd could not clearly see how this extremely fast move happened. Wuxia! Two streams of blood shot through the air. The surrounding floor was immediately dyed scarlet. However, even Jiang Zimo and the others could not be sure whose wound it was that spurted out blood. The full power of the two's attack was simply too fast. Furthermore, the arena was filled with all sorts of chaotic lights in scattered states. It was hard to see clearly. At the two corners of the arena, Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun had their backs to each other. Drops of blood slowly dripped from the tips of their sabers and swords. Is it a draw? The crowd below said doubtfully when they saw this scene. The sabers were already stained with blood. That meant that they struck each other at the same time. The two arrows of blood came from Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun. It was too fast. I did not see it clearly at all. Unexpectedly, it ended in a draw. Furthermore, it was a little chaotic. I did not see how the two made their moves at all. Seeing that the result was already decided, the crowd shook their heads and sighed. This move was too fast. Although it was startling to watch, they could not understand it at all. Xiao! Just at this moment, Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun turned around at the same time. A golden light and a purplish-red light filled the air and poured into their weapons. The crowd's expressions could not help but change. They muttered, "Why is it not over yet? There was such a huge commotion earlier. Could it be that they have not made their moves yet?" Chu Chaoyun's sword left his hand and stopped in midair. Then it spun quickly. Chu Chaoyun's hands quickly formed hand seals. As he formed the hand seals, a golden light appeared on Chu Chaoyun's jade-white palms. Xiao Chun remained expressionless. The lunar shadow saber drew on a strange energy. Dark clouds churned in the sky, and thunder roared without end. When the golden light was at its most resplendent, Chu Chaoyun parted his hands. His left hand, which was flickering with golden light, looked like he was touching a mirror in the air. With the spinning sword as the center, he quickly drew a circle. Chi! Chi! As Chu Chaoyun's hand moved down, a golden sword image appeared. When the circle was complete, a circle of sword light appeared. Life-extinguishing blood-reversing sword. Chu Chaoyun shouted. The instant the circle of sword light formed, his right palm struck the spinning sword hilt in the middle of the circle. The sword immediately turned into a beam of golden light. It carried an aura of destruction as it flew at Xiao Chun. Everywhere it passed, the golden light gathered and did not scatter. It formed a piercing slender pillar of light. Xiao Chun pointed his saber at the sky. He instantly formed his strongest move, Wuxia moves heaven. Boom! 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 The sky trembled. A scarlet divine Wuxia tree descended from the sky, carrying the might of thunder. Boundless scarlet lightning appeared in the sky. Aside from being tyrannical, this Wuxia moves heaven infused with the state of massacre also had a strange demonic aura to it. Bang! The scarlet divine Wuxia tree landed in front of Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun sent out a palm strike as well. The divine tree moved on the ground and crashed into the golden sword light. Kase! In the arena, the sword shining with a golden light and the scarlet divine Wuxia tree arrived at each other very quickly. There was a crisp sound as the sword pierced through the divine Wuxia tree, leaving a hole in the trunk. Cracks spread out from the entrance of the cave. The entire skeleton of the divine Wuxia tree seemed to start cracking. The long sword that was overflowing with golden light wasn't completely unscathed either. The originally dazzling radiance had dimmed a lot. However, the speed of the two did not slow down. Their bodies and souls were still present. Their might was only reduced by 50%. Bang! Bang! There were two intense sounds of collisions. Chu Chaoyun's hands glowed with light as he struck the rapidly approaching divine Wuxia tree. The state of thunder and state of massacre exploded, turning into an overwhelming scarlet shockwave as it surged towards Chu Chaoyun. On the other side, the sword, which had dimmed significantly, arrived before Xiao Chen the moment the divine Wuxia tree knocked down Chu Chaoyun. Xiao Chen shifted his feet and held his saber across his chest, blocking the tip of the sword. The surging energy of the sword immediately surged forward. Boom! Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun missed. The remnant martial technique of their opponent knocked them to the ground at the same time. Blood leaked out of the corner of their mouths. According to the rules, falling out of the arena meant defeat. However, the two of them fell to the ground at the same time. This could only be considered a draw. Xiao! Chu Chaoyun withdrew his palm, and the sword returned to the sword on his back with a ka-cha sound. After not seeing you for half a year, you are already able to force me to such a state. I hope you will still be this lucky after half a year. Chu Chaoyun wiped off the blood from the corner of his lips. He ignored the shocked gazes of the crowd and walked to the side. Then he closed his eyes and treated his injuries. Xiao Chen muttered to himself for a while. He did not show much dismay on his face. Although he did not completely defeat his opponent, Xiao Chen had already probed his opponent's strength. He was not afraid of his opponent being strong. He was only afraid of his opponent being unfathomable. He would not have a chance to understand him. On the path of cultivation, it was not a bad thing for Xiao Chen to have an opponent like Chu Chaoyun. At the very least, it would be more exciting. Incredible! Unexpectedly, the Great Qin nation has two peak geniuses. This is unbelievable. The spiritual energy in that place is very sparse. With these two people around, the cultivators of the Great Qin nation will not dare to make irresponsible remarks when they go out. When the crowd saw the two of them sitting cross-legged and treating their injuries, they discussed in soft voices. Xiao Chen's strength was clear for all to see. Now that Chu Chaoyun and Xiao Chen fought to a draw, everyone had a clear understanding of Xiao Chen's strength. The arena continued and soon the second round of drawing lots began. Xiao Chen obtained the red token for number 17. He was in the first batch of competitors again. His opponent was a cultivator from the Great Xia nation. That person knew that Xiao Chen had suffered significant internal injuries in his fight with Chu Chaoyun. It was impossible for him to recover so quickly. After hesitating for a while, he chose to fight to the death, to see if he could obtain a victory for himself. Even if he could not obtain a victory, a draw was entirely possible. That would still be a point. However, the results disappointed him. Xiao Chen had just consumed the medicinal pill for treating injuries that Shi Hailong had given him. The effects were unexpectedly good. The internal injuries that Chu Chaoyun suffered from that sword strike had mostly healed. Although his combat prowess had not recovered completely, he had recovered at least 90% of it. Bang! After 10 moves, Xiao Chen forced his opponent back with his saber. Then, he immediately pressed forward and executed the dragon claw fist with his left hand. He took advantage of his opponent's opening and knocked him off the arena. Thank you for letting me win. Xiao Chen calmly walked off the arena under his opponent's depressed gaze. The arena battles continued in batches. A few more people wanted to gamble and chose to fight with Xiao Chen. Unsurprisingly, they all lost within 50 moves. After seeing Xiao Chen display his strong combat prowess once again, the next opponents, they had already verified that Xiao Chen's injuries were completely healed. When they met Xiao Chen, they immediately forfeited without hesitation. As the number of matches decreased, they could no longer afford to make any mistakes. As the sun set in the west and dusk approached, Xiao Chen ascended the arena once again, feeling somewhat bored. This was the last match of his 30 matches. The results of the previous 29 matches had already guaranteed him one of the 20 spots. The outcome of this last match did not have much to do with the overall situation. Regardless of who won or lost, Xiao Chan would be able to enter the ancient desolate tower. Chapter 474. Xiao. As Xiao Chan waited, his final opponent appeared. When Xiao Chan saw his opponent's face, his eyes could not help but light up. He had not expected his final opponent to be Zuo. It looked like this duel would not be as simple as he had imagined. There was going to be a lot of fighting. However, Zuo smiled bitterly across Xiao Chan. He said, "I know you find this boring. However, it is unfortunate that I have to forfeit as well. I already have enough points to rank in the top 20. There is no need to continue this pointless fight. Let's meet at the ancient desolate tower." Xiao Chan smiled gently and said, "It will be difficult for me to fight. Let's meet at the ancient desolate tower. Let's consider this a draw. We have not determined a victor between us yet. Sooner or later we will have to fight." Zuo nodded and said, "There is still 1.5 years before the next 5-nation youth competition begins. At that time we will inevitably meet and have a good fight." The two of them shook hands and walked off the arena. They started to watch the battles in the other arenas, waiting for the second round to end. The matches slowly came to an end. Xiaxian walked over to Xiao Chan with a smile on her face. Clearly, she was very confident in her results. "How was it? There should not be any problems, right?" Xiao Chan asked. Xiaxian nodded and said, "I lost 2 matches and drew 1. There should not be any problems. However, we still need to see the final results." After the final match in the arena ended, everyone started to wait anxiously. The Heavenly Extermination Union had people in charge of the results of the various participants. Furthermore, these people were the brains of the various powers. They supervised each other and ensured the fairness of the results. The results were quickly tabulated. After Shi Hailong and the others looked through them, he instructed someone to read them out slowly. The results are out. First place, Chu Chaoyun. 30 matches. 1 draw. Winning the rest is a total of 59 points. Second place, Xiao Chun. 2 draws. Winning the rest is a total of 58 points. Third place, Ding Fengqiu. 3 draws. Winning the rest is a total of 57 points. There were no surprises. Aside from Chu Chaoyun, the people in the top 10 were all peak characters from the previous gathering. Zhang Zimo, Mu Xinya, Zuo, Chu Mu, Ding Fengqiu, Xiaxian, and the others. The expressions on everyone's faces were still relatively calm. It was only when the names of all the top geniuses and above were announced that they started to feel nervous. At this time it was their turn. Although it was said that there were 20 spots, the truth was that they could only fight for the remaining 10 spots. When the old man finished reading the list, Shi Hailong said sternly, "Those whose names have not been read, step back. Those whose names have been read, step forward." Expressions of pity flashed across the faces of the outstanding talents that failed to be selected. After sighing softly, they started to retreat. She looked enviously at Xiao Chan and the others who had stepped forward. Her eyes were filled with unwillingness. They knew that the gap between them and these people might be something that they would never be able to catch up to for the rest of their lives. Shi Hailong swept his gaze across the crowd. Then, he flicked his finger, and jade pendants with mysterious talisman scripts landed in everyone's hands. "Without these jade pendants, you will not be able to enter the ancient desolate tower. I have given you the opportunity. How far you can go will depend on yourselves," Shi Hailong said expressionlessly. "Open the tower." Xiao Chan shouted the order, and the 4 old men behind him started to form hand seals in front of the Tianwu Emperor's statue. Pure essence flowed from Xiao Chen's arm into the statue. The Tianwu Emperor's statue started to glow with a golden light from bottom to top. When the golden light covered the entire statue, the sword in the Tianwu Emperor's hand immediately gave off a boundless sword qi and soared into the sky. Wang! Wang! A majestic and grand formation appeared in the sky above. Countless lines flickered, forming an extremely profound scene. The golden sword qi rushed to the center of the formation. Hu qi! When the sword qi reached the center of the formation, it immediately spread out. All the lines turned golden. When the golden light descended, it reflected on the plaza. It was a huge ancient formation. Sensing the vast spiritual energy in the formation, Xiao Chan could feel it. Everyone, including Xiao Chan, was astonished. At this moment they felt incredibly insignificant. In the distance, the ancient tower that Xiao Chun had seen before disappeared. The buildings in front of him looked like they were being stripped of clothes. When the ancient desolate tower appeared before everyone's eyes, they were all astonished. It turned out that the ancient desolate tower was in the Tianwu Plaza. However, due to some formations forming a concealment spell, it was hard for people to find the ancient desolate tower. Boom! The stone door at the bottom of the ancient desolate tower opened. Shi Hailong said, "Let's go in." After the ancient desolate tower appeared, Xiao Chun and the others hung their jade pendants on their chests. Then they immediately headed for the door to the first floor. Although the stone door was open, there was a layer of faint blue energy membrane flickering with a faint blue light. Chi! Chi! At the front of the group, 4 or 5 impatient outstanding talents from various places rushed in ahead of everyone else. Just as their fingers touched the Dao membrane, when they touched the energy membrane, the jade pendants with the mysterious talisman scripts on them immediately lit up, and they disappeared in a flash. It looked like the blue energy membrane had the ability to differentiate between people. Without the jade pendants, they would not be able to enter the ancient desolate tower by force. Xiao Chun was not in a rush to enter the ancient desolate tower. He stood at the foot of the tower and looked around. The tower was more than 400 meters tall and had 9 floors. Spiritual energy surrounded the foot of the tower, forming an overwhelming aura that soared into the clouds. When standing at the foot of the tower, one could feel an ancient aura coming from it, giving off a sense of pressure. Back then, the Thunder King only managed to reach the 7th floor. What exactly was in this ancient desolate tower? It filled one with anticipation and anxiety. Xiao Chun did not know how many floors he could reach. Xiao Chun took a deep breath and walked to the door. Then he stretched out his right hand towards the energy membrane. Xiao! Xiao Chun's figure flashed, and it was like he passed through a layer of water. Then, he appeared on the first floor of the ancient desolate tower. Boom! The moment Xiao Chun landed on the ground, he felt a huge pressure. It was a psychological pressure. Instead, it was a formless pressure from the air. It was like a pair of huge hands pressing down on his shoulders, trying to push his entire body down. Caught off guard, Xiao Chun stumbled. He was nearly pushed to the ground by this pressure. After he reacted, Xiao Chun circulated his vital qi throughout his body. He straightened his back and allowed the pressure to hit him. He did not move his body at all. This is not much pressure, Xiao Chun thought to himself. As long as I do not get pressed to the ground in an instant, I will be able to resist it easily. Xiao Chun looked around. The first floor was very spacious. There were many portraits of people from the past carved on the walls. Many pairs of eyes watched the challengers. Looking up, Xiao Chun saw a layer of light. It was like a ceiling separating the first and second floors. Several cultivators flew into the air, resisting the air resistance as they slowly made their way to the light screen above their heads. Normally, they would only need a few breaths to reach that height. However, at this moment it was extremely difficult for them to move even 1 meter. The air currents in the air seemed very viscous. The pressure they exerted was extremely huge. Who can help me up? Help me up. An unlucky fellow lay sprawled on the ground about 1 meter in front of Xiao Chun. He used his hands to support himself. This person wanted to stand up again. However, after a long time it was to no avail. He could not help but cry out for help. The pressure on the first floor was not so strong that one could not resist it. However, if one let down their guard at the start and got pressed down, it would be extremely difficult. If one wanted to stand up by themselves, it would be extremely difficult. The surrounding cultivators were all climbing nervously. No one cared about him. Even if they heard him, they pretended not to hear him. They were all competitors here. It was hard to guarantee that if they helped him today, he would not try to bully them in the future. Xiao Chun shook his head. It was not easy to enter this ancient desolate tower. It would be a pity to give up just like that. Bang! Xiao Chun stomped heavily on the ground, and a huge force bounced off the ground. Using this force, Xiao Chun slowly flew up. The cultivator on the ground also bent his back due to the force of Xiao Chun's stomp. He looked at Xiao Chun, who was in the air, and quickly thanked him. Who? Xiao Chun's body broke through the solid air pressure and slowly rose. First he was rather slow. Eventually, he got used to the air pressure. Chapter 475. Xiao Qin's speed gradually increased. He overtook the cultivators who had started earlier and slowly flew to the front. Does this fellow not feel any pressure at all? Ding Fengqiu, who was at the side, said with an unsightly expression when he saw Xiao Qian slowly overtake him. Zuemo also had an astonished expression on his face. The pressure here caused cultivators to circulate their essence very slowly. He did not know how Xiao Qian did it. When the others saw that Xiao Qian was about to touch the layer of light above him, they were all astonished. They could not help but increase their speed. Xiao Qian thought for a while and understood the crux of the matter. The pressure from the pagoda actually came from the outside. It entered the cultivator's body and pressed down on the essence in the cultivator's meridians. At this moment, the body was like the outermost layer of defense. With a strong physical body, the pressure that penetrated through the skin into the body was naturally reduced. If the physical body was not strong, it would not be able to withstand much of the pressure. As a result, most of the pressure would enter the body. Xiao Qin's physical body was stronger than most of the cultivators here. Even though he started later, he arrived first. Naturally, he was in front. When Xiao Qin's palm touched the strange layer of light, mottled energy ripples immediately appeared on the light. In an instant, all the pressure vanished. Xiao Qian felt very relaxed as he slowly passed through the layer of light. Xiao! 5 seconds later, Xiao Qin's feet trembled as he landed firmly on the ground. He opened his eyes and felt that the essence in his body was purer and more powerful than before. Xiao Qian closed his eyes again and sank his consciousness into the purple qi whirlpool. He discovered drops of purple essence liquid dripping down the qi whirlpool. This speed was several times faster than when Xiao Qian cultivated normally. He was astonished and even showed signs of breaking through to peak superior grade martial king. Strange, I clearly didn't cultivate, nor did I absorb any heaven and earth spiritual qi, so why did this purple yuan qi liquid appear out of nowhere? Could it be because of that layer of light? Xiao Qin guessed. Aside from this, there was no other explanation. Xiao! After 5 seconds, the primal qi liquid stopped dripping. Xiao Qin opened his eyes and stopped thinking about it. In the end, it was a good thing and there was no harm in it. Let's see what's so strange about this floor. Outside the ancient desolate tower, Shi Hailong and a few other members of the Heavenly Extermination Union's upper echelon looked nervously at the ancient desolate tower below the martial emperor statue. Inside the ancient desolate tower, the jade pendants on everyone's chests were like bright spots. Even though the walls were in the way, others could see them clearly. Suddenly, an elder said, "Elder Shi, someone seems to have entered the second level." Shi Hailong's eyes narrowed. Indeed, a speck of light had already appeared in the space of the second floor. He actually passed the first floor so quickly. The pressure of the first floor is at least 50,000 kilograms. I wonder who it is. Back then, not even the Thunder King was this fast. Does this mean that this person will be able to go further than the Thunder King? It's hard to say. This is just the first floor. The challenges of each subsequent floor are different. Perhaps he is just lucky. We can't come to a conclusion so early. Naturally, Xiao Qian could not hear the discussions outside. At this moment he felt somewhat conflicted. In the second floor there was still a faint layer of light above his head. There was no longer that pressure. However, when Xiao Qian tried to take off, he discovered a horrifying suction force coming from the ground. However, he discovered that there was a terrifying suction force coming from the ground beneath his feet. No matter how hard he tried, his feet could not leave the ground at the same time. After trying for a while, Xiao Qian still could not succeed. He could only give up and focus his gaze on the 20-odd statues in the middle. Aside from the lack of pressure, the greatest difference between the first and second floors of the ancient desolate tower was that there were many more statues. The statues were the same size as a real person. There were men and women, fist masters, bladesmen, swordsmen, spearmen, and even pure cultivators. Xiao Qian walked forward and looked at the statues one by one. Finally, he stopped before a bladesman. That bladesman wore light blue battle armor and carried a dragon tooth saber on his back. He had an amiable expression on his face, but his gaze was strangely resolute. No one dared to look at him directly. As Xiao Qian stood before that bladesman, he looked at the distinct lines on the statue's face. The expression on the statue was very realistic. It was like he was facing a bladesman with a life of his own. There was no such thing as an unsolvable puzzle in the ancient desolate tower. There had to be a way to get to the third floor. The answer might lie in these additional statues. I might as well give it a try. Xiao Chun stretched out his finger and pointed at the forehead of the statue. Ha ha! Not bad, you have good eyes. You chose me. In that case, let me see your strength. Suddenly, a hearty laughter resounded in Xiao Qin's ears. Under Xiao Qin's astonished gaze, the eyes of the statue immediately lit up. The bladesman waved his left hand and knocked Xiao Qin's hand to the side. Then his right hand moved at lightning speed and pressed against Xiao Qin's forehead. This startled Xiao Chun and he quickly retreated. His figure flashed, leaving behind afterimages in the air. When Xiao Chun landed, he discovered that he was in a chaotic space. A bladesman wearing light blue battle armor smiled at Xiao Chun. This was the statue of the bladesman that Xiao Chun saw earlier. Now it appeared alive in this space. Winds blew and clouds churned in the chaotic space. Thunder roared, and there was nothing in the surroundings. Xiao Chun placed his right hand on his saber hilt and stared at this person. How did you come back to life? What is this place? The moment Xiao Chun spoke, he felt that something was wrong. The other party was a statue in the first place. There was no concept of life or death. The blue-robed bladesman muttered, I am just a strand of soul. How can there be such a thing as life or death? What you see is just a statue of my will. My name is Bai Shuehe, a saber sage of the great Jin nations by clan. 7,000 years ago, the Alliance chief invited me to leave a strand of my will on the second floor. Xiao Chun understood. Rumor had it that when one became a martial sage, one's mental energy would be extremely strong. One could leave a strand of will behind for 100 years. Emperor Wu's will could be passed down for 1,000 years. The reason why the saber sage's will could survive for 1,000 years was probably because of the ancient desolate tower. My current cultivation is about the same as yours. If you can last 10 moves against me, you will pass the test of the second floor. If you cannot, your path will end here. The blue-robed bladesman said indifferently as he slowly drew the dragon-tooth saber from his back and pointed it at Xiao Chun. When Xiao Chun heard that, his expression could not help but turn grave. Although the other party's cultivation was the same as his, the other party's cultivation was still the same as his. Although the other party's cultivation was about the same as his, he was still a martial sage. He still had his combat techniques and experience. It would be extremely difficult for him to last 10 moves. Bai Shuehe looked at Xiao Chun and smiled faintly. Just do your best. Don't overthink. Just don't leave any regrets. First move. Xiao. A hazy saber intent spread out from the dragon-tooth saber. Bai Shuehe took 6 steps in the air and raised his saber, attacking Xiao Chun's left hand, which was holding the scabbard. With the support of Bai Shuehe's saber intent, this simple and ordinary move became extremely sharp and awe-inspiring in his hands. This is a feint. His true goal should be to raise his saber and knock my weapon out of my hand the instant I draw it. Xiao Chun's eyes lit up. When the other party made his move, his heart was as calm as still water. The other party was no longer a saber sage but an ordinary opponent. There was no such thing as 10 moves. What Xiao Chun wanted was to defeat this opponent who had the same cultivation as him. Xiao Chun guessed the other party's goal. Although he was not completely confident, he was at least 70% sure. He could take the gamble. Xiao Chun released the saber hilt with his right hand and made an extremely dangerous move. He did not draw his saber to block the other party's attack. Instead, he quickly moved his left hand to his back. The saber hilt appeared behind Xiao Chun's right shoulder. At this moment, the other party's saber had already arrived at Xiao Chun's lower waist. If Bai Shuehe did not dodge and casually swung to the right, he would be able to severely injure Xiao Chun's waist. The situation was extremely dangerous. However, Xiao Chun's expression was strangely calm. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he grabbed the saber hilt behind his shoulder with his right hand. Xiao Chun drew the lunar shadow saber at lightning speed and executed drawing the saber from top to bottom. The saber turned into a ferocious lightning flood dragon as it hacked at Bai Shuehe's face. If the other party still wanted to severely injure Xiao Chun, he would definitely be chopped in half by this saber strike. Exchanging heavy injuries for his own death was not worth it. Retreat. Bai Shuaihe was extremely decisive. The moment the thought of retreating appeared in his mind, his body had already retreated several dozen meters. This caused Xiao Chen's ferocious tiger-like saber strike to hit nothing but air. The electric light scattered and turned into strands of electric light flowing everywhere. What a fast reaction speed! Xiao Chen was slightly startled. According to his expectations, even if the other party wanted to retreat, he would not be able to escape the range of his saber technique. He would definitely not be able to escape from the range of his saber momentum. After that, he would completely seize the initiative, and the violent attacks would pour down like a torrential storm. However, Bai Shuaihe's reaction speed was like he did not need to use his brain. In an instant he made the appropriate response. This was a kind of memory of the body. Only after experiencing thousands, tens of thousands of battles would one be able to achieve such experience. Bai Shuaihe looked at Xiao Chen and the corner of his mouth curled up in a smile of praise. He said, "Not bad. You have good judgment, courage, and ambition. You are able to determine the purpose of my move and have the courage to gamble. In the end, you still want to defeat me. For you to have such accomplishments at such a young age, it is really rare. However, it will not be that easy for your saber technique to catch me. You'd better think of how to block 10 moves first." Spring water flows slowly, suddenly warm then cold. Bai Shuaihe did not say anything. The dragon-tooth saber in his hand started to tremble, twisting and turning continuously. Layers of water appeared in the surroundings. A warm feeling spread out in the air. Bai Shuaihe rode the waves through the water, heading quickly for Xiao Chen. The spring water had already melted and was so clear that one could see the bottom. However, while the water looked warm, the cold qi did not dissipate. Bai Shuaihe's saber technique displayed this state to its fullest. The moment it arrived, the two different saber techniques quickly switched. Whether it was warm or cold, there were different ways to deal with them. The principle was somewhat similar to Xiao Chen's dragon claw fist. Whether it was a claw or a fist, there were different ways to deal with them. However, the difference in cultivation was much higher. One was still in form, while the other surpassed form. It focused on intent, making it even harder to figure out. If Xiao Chen made a mistake and attacked blindly, he would immediately get hit and lose. Chapter 476. Xiao Chen quickly thought of a countermeasure. He became more focused than he had ever been before. The saber sage was a saber sage, a sage of sabers. Even though their cultivations were similar, the difference was clear. The water of spring had just started to melt. The so-called warmth was only compared to winter. However, compared to normal, it was still cold. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. He finally figured out the trick to this. What suddenly warm but then cold? It was just a trick to confuse people. Cold was cold, not cold was not cold. No matter how warm the water was in spring, how could it compare to summer? Xiao Chen smiled gently. After he figured out the trick, the confusion on his face disappeared. A fierce purple flame appeared on his sword. The qi whirlpool in Xiao Chen's body continued to spin. Pure lightning-attributed essence poured endlessly into the sword, causing the purple thunder true fire to burn ferociously. Break! When Xiao Chen swung his saber, the blazing purple thunder true fire broke through the water barrier in front of him. Qi! Qi! The sound of water boiling resounded in the air, and white steam rose up. Dang! The purple fire broke through all the cold qi. With the help of Xiao Chen's fierce purple fire, it completely suppressed his opponent's state of ice. Bai Shuaihe was knocked back by Xiao Chen's move. Autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Another move was broken by Xiao Chen. However, the smile on Bai Shuaihe's face became even wider. He spun his saber and quickly executed his third move. A desolate intent blew a strong wind at Xiao Chen. In the wind, Bai Shuaihe's saber contained a sharp intent as it clashed with Xiao Chen's saber strike. This move was very ferocious. Although it was launched later, it arrived first. The unblockable aura of the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves allowed Bai Shuaihe's saber strike to turn defeat into victory. In terms of aura, Bai Shuaihe's saber strike surpassed Xiao Chen's. If he could not defeat Xiao Chen, he would not clash head-on. Xiao Chen decisively retreated. His figure wavered as he executed the roaming dragon's 9 transformations. He turned into 9 cool breezes and flew backward. Good lad, decisive enough. In a situation where he had the upper hand, he immediately retreated when he saw that the situation wasn't right. He wasn't rash at all. Bai Shuehe praised Xiao Chun inwardly once more. With his advantage in experience, he was able to see through Xiao Chun's true form with a single glance. Moreover, he was able to guess Xiao Chun's next move. Taking a step forward, Zhang Xian launched a feint attack toward where the other party's true body had gone. Swoosh! The figure flickered, and that figure quickly merged with the ninth figure on the left. The number of clones quickly decreased. Bai Shuehe thought to himself, although this young man is smart, he is still lacking in experience. This illusory move did not have much force behind it. Bai Shuehe's saber spun around at lightning speed and headed for the merging figure. The summer sky burned in all directions. How powerful was the blazing sun in summer? It was the hottest flame in the world, and it could even dry up a river. It was also the most tyrannical flame in the world. Under the illumination of the sun, it could be found no matter where one hid. When this state was infused into the saber technique, one could imagine how powerful it would be. The merging figure would probably be blasted to smithereens the moment it landed. Bang! As Bai Shuehe expected, a look of shock flashed on the merging figure's face. It barely managed to block with its saber before it was blasted into smithereens by this incomparably mighty saber strike. Seeing the disappearing figure, Bai Shuehe revealed a somewhat desolate expression. He said, "In the end it still ended. However, I gained too much of an advantage by using my experience to defeat this youth." "Uncle, it is not over yet." Suddenly, Xiao Chen's faint laughter came from behind him. Bai Shuehe's expression changed slightly as he quickly turned his head to take a look. A divine Wuxia tree flickering with scarlet lightning pressed down on him with tens of thousands of tons of force. At the place where Bai Shuehe's true body was, the white-robed Xiao Chun held his saber with both hands, guiding the scarlet lightning divine Wuxia tree. Bai Shuehe reacted in an instant. Before he could think, he had already dodged to the side. Xiao Chun had expected this long ago. The scarlet divine Wuxia tree tilted slightly and fell. The 200-meter-tall tree fell just like that. The tip of the tree was less than a meter away from Bai Shuehe. Xiao Chun did not stop moving. He shouted, "Explode!" Boom! The surging scarlet lightning exploded in an instant. Waves of lightning surged out, attacking a large area indiscriminately. At such a close distance, no matter how fast one's reaction speed was, one would still be struck by the shock wave. Bang! 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 Bai Shuehe took 3 steps back. His current cultivation was the same as Xiao Chen's, an inferior grade martial king. He could not ignore such a strong move. Bai Shuehe received a powerful move head-on. His battle armor was blasted into a sorry state. Blood leaked out of the corner of his lips. However, he did not show much anger on his face. Boom! Boom! As Bai Shuehe swung his saber, he swept away all the remaining shock waves. Bai Shuehe looked straight at Xiao Chun and revealed a look of admiration. He smiled and said, "Interesting. You knew that I could see through your clones, so you beat me at my own game. The figures that merged back together were fake. Your true body never moved from the start. To think that when I was your age I was not as accomplished as you are. With just these 4 moves you have already passed my test. Now let me ask you, do you still want to continue?" Xiao Chun smiled calmly and said, "Why not? It is not easy to meet a true bladesman. It would be too much of a pity to stop here." Bai Shuehe wiped off the blood on the corner of his lips. The smile on his face became wider as he said, "Have you thought it through? If you cannot last 10 moves, you will not be able to proceed to the later floors of the ancient desolate tower." Xiao! Xiao Chun thrust his saber forward and revealed a faint smile. He felt very proud in his heart as you said, "I will not leave behind any regrets. You are made to be a swordsman. Let's play a few more moves then." Bai Shuehe laughed loudly and took a step forward. He spun his saber and sent out another sharp saber technique at Xiao Chun. Boom boom boom. In the chaotic space, the two of them once again started a battle of wits, courage and strength. Every single move was extremely dangerous and every single move was incomparably brilliant. As they fought back and forth, they were having so much fun that it was as if they had forgotten that this was a so-called test. Bai Shuehe's cultivation was restricted, and he was the same as Xiao Chun. If he wanted to defeat Xiao Qian, He could only rely on his experience and combat techniques to achieve his goal. However, Xiao Qin's ability to react on the spot far surpassed Bai Shuihe's expectations. Xiao Qin's exquisite saber technique and exquisite state greatly surpassed his expectations. Xiao Qin was always able to decisively break it at the last moment. If he really couldn't break it, he would try his best to avoid the vital parts. While Xiao Qin endured the saber techniques, he did his best to leave wounds of various sizes on Bai Shuihe's body. Bai Shuihe forgot about the flow of time and his initial goal. The smile on his face grew wider. When he attacked, it was not to defeat Xiao Qin. This was like a senior swordsman teaching a junior. During the fight, Bai Shuihe would occasionally comment on the strengths and weaknesses of Xiao Qin's saber techniques. Naturally, the value of the saber sage's comments went without saying. Xiao Qin benefited a lot from this. Many of the problems that he could not figure out before were suddenly enlightened. Outside the ancient desolate tower, Shi Hailong watched the spots of light continuously appear on the second floor. However, his gaze remained fixed on the first spot that appeared. Xiao Qin had a vague guess in his heart. He knew who the first person to reach the second floor was. However, he did not dare to be completely sure. Bang! Just at this moment, a figure was ejected from the wall of the second floor of the ancient desolate tower. He had a confused expression on his face. That was a sign that he had failed the challenge. He could not withstand 10 moves from the will statue and was ejected from the ancient desolate tower, losing the ability to advance further. Bang! Following that, another 3 people were ejected from the ancient desolate tower. Then they returned to the statue with dispirited expressions. Together with the others, they paid attention to the spots of light in the ancient desolate tower. The people at the side who did not qualify to enter the tower quickly asked about the situation inside. These people could only smile bitterly and could not be bothered to explain. Shi Hailong revealed some doubt in his eyes. He said, "Strange, there are already 3 or 4 people who passed the test. However, that person has not. Could I be wrong?" An elder at the side smiled and said, "Old Shi, don't overthink this. That person might have passed the first floor so quickly because of luck. It is not as if there were no such people in the past. Indeed, it was too early for me to come to this conclusion. This is just the first floor, and I already compared this person to the Thunder King from back then." As they spoke, a few more people passed the will statue's test. The spots of light flickered and appeared on the 3rd floor. However, the first spot of light to enter the 2nd floor did not move at all. There were no signs of movement at all. Shi Hailong shook his head and smiled at the people beside him. "It looks like I was overthinking. Let's continue watching." For so many people to break through to the 3rd floor, they are much stronger than the previous batches. On the 2nd floor of the ancient desolate tower, in the primal chaos space where Xiao Qin was unknowingly, Bai Shuihe's body had turned from solid to faint. Xiao! 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 Xiao Qin broke Bai Shuihe's saber technique again. Wuxia breaks the heavens and Wuxia moves heaven struck Bai Shuihe's body continuously, inflicting severe damage. Wuxia! Bai Shuihe vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood. The blue battle armor on his body was already tattered. His figure was in a sorry state. However, he still appeared very excited. Xiao Qin was in an even worse state than Bai Shuihe. His complexion was pale, devoid of blood. His white clear wind robes were tattered beyond recognition. Countless wounds of various sizes covered Bai Shuihe's body. Blood flowed out slowly, dyeing his clothes red. He looked like a person made of blood. It has been several thousand years, and no one has been able to force me to such a state. In the end, I am just a lonely spirit. I cannot last for long. You win, Bai Shuihe said with a bitter smile as he casually tossed his saber aside. He revealed a desolate expression. When Xiao Qin heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. He was almost at his limits. He had already used all his trump cards several times. If the other party made a few more moves, Xiao Qin would be at his wit's end. He would probably die in this primal chaos space. Bai Shuihe smiled and said, "Everyone who passes the test will receive a reward. For the past 7,000 years I have given away all the good stuff. What do you want? I will do my best to satisfy you." Chapter 477. Xiao Chan muttered to himself for a while before saying, I want to know how you infuse the changes of the 4 seasons into your saber technique. When Bai Shueha heard this, he smiled and said, You are extraordinarily greedy. This is the Bai clan's inherited martial technique. However, you are the only one who could force me to this point in 1,000 years. As you wish, remember not to teach it to anyone else. Bai Shueha flicked his finger, and a spot of light flashed on his fingertip. Then it quickly entered Xiao Chen's forehead. Suddenly, Xiao Chen felt like many things had appeared in his mind. Before Xiao Chen could think, space shattered. When he opened his eyes again, he discovered that he was on the 2nd floor of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chen's fingertip touched the forehead of Bai Shueha's statue. There was an explosion, and Bai Shueha's statue suddenly shattered. A formless will spread out from the 2nd floor of the ancient desolate tower. Soon, it penetrated the walls and radiated into the surroundings of the ancient desolate tower. Bai Shueha's final bit of will exploded. All the cultivators within a kilometer felt like they had suffered a heavy blow to their chests. They could not resist at all. They vomited a large mouthful of blood, and their complexions turned incredibly pale. Shi Hailong and the others also felt a dull thud in their chests. They did their best to suppress their surging blood, and only managed to refine it after a long time. They all had grave expressions. After a long time, someone asked in a trembling voice, Someone defeated the will statue of a martial sage. Although the will statue was as strong as the challenger, the experience and techniques of the martial sage were not inferior to the challenger at all. The only weakness of the will statue was that it could not exist for long. However, it would not be a problem for it to last at least a few hundred moves. It was almost impossible to defeat such a person. Being able to last 10 moves was already very rare. Such a person could be considered an outstanding talent. In the future, they would at least become a martial monarch. In the thousands of years of the trial of the ancient desolate tower, aside from the Thunder King, no one had ever broken the will statue of a challenger. However, such a thing had actually happened right before their eyes. How could they not be shocked? Shi Hailong's expression was grave as he stared at the speck of light that flew to the 3rd floor. He muttered, It can't be wrong, it can't be wrong, it can't be wrong. It must be him, the first cultivator to enter the 2nd floor. The moment the statue shattered, Xiao Chen's body automatically rose into the air and flew towards the halo above his head. The moment he passed through the halo, Xiao Chen paid attention to the changes in the cyclone in his body. As he had expected, as his body slowly passed through the halo, drops of pure purple liquid quickly dripped down from the qi whirlpool in his body. Tick-tock, tick-tock. This time it took them a full 10 seconds to pass through the halo, twice as long as the previous level. Xiao Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that it took him 10 seconds to get through the halo. Xiao Chen's bottleneck to inferior grade martial king was quickly loosening. His essence surged, showing signs of breaking through to medial grade martial king at any moment. No wonder everyone said that the ancient desolate tower was incomparably miraculous. They all fought to the death for a spot. Just the speed at which Xiao Chen's essence increased was equivalent to a year of bitter cultivation. To those peak geniuses, 1 year was sufficient to leave their opponents in the dust. Xiao Chen landed firmly on the ground and quickly scanned the 3rd floor with his gaze. Compared to the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor was slightly smaller. The walls still had many carvings of the predecessors. However, there was no external force on them. There was no resistance from above, nor was there any suction from below. The halo above their heads was still there, but no one flew into the air to try to pass through it. Zuemo and the others who had arrived earlier, all had unsightly expressions as they looked at the tombstones in the middle. Look, there is another tombstone. Someone shouted. Everyone immediately looked over and saw that the tombstone clearly said, Here lies the great Qin nation's white-robed bladesman, Xiao Chen. The others quickly turned their heads to take a look. When they discovered Xiao Chen, they revealed an expression that said, You too? Xiao Chen felt suspicious as he walked forward. He discovered that the tombstones all had the names of the outstanding talents who had arrived here. It looked very strange. Behind the tombstone there was an ancient stone coffin. A serene atmosphere slowly spread from the tombstone to the entire space. Xiao Chen's name was carved on it as well. He was clearly a living person, yet he had to face his own tombstone. This feeling was indescribably strange. Xiao Chun asked Xiaxian, who was beside him, what's going on? Xiaxian had a grave expression as she said, I'm not sure. The moment everyone came up, there would be a tombstone and a stone coffin. Some people have tried to pass through the halo above them, but they could not. It is completely different from the previous floors. Xiao Chun nodded gently and focused his gaze on his own tombstone again. He said, in that case, the test of this floor is in this tombstone. That should be the case. Xiaxian said uncertainly. Suddenly, she saw what Xiao Chun was doing. She exclaimed in astonishment, What are you doing? Xiaxian saw that Xiao Chun had already walked to the stone coffin behind his tombstone. His right hand rested on the lid of the coffin as he tried to open it. Xiao Chun's actions startled everyone. They quickly retreated. There were too many strange places in this ancient desolate tower. If Xiao Chun opened the stone coffin so recklessly and met with some unknown danger, he would be in big trouble. Zuemo advised Brother Xiao, why don't you study it a little longer before making a decision? It is too risky to open the stone coffin now. Jiang Zimo also felt that doing so was inappropriate. Brother Xiao, let's keep looking. Who knows, we might discover something else. Xiao Chun shook his head and rejected. The answer is obvious. It is in this stone coffin. You all should move back first. Seeing that Xiao Chun had already made up his mind, the others did not say anything more. Actually, they were also curious about what was in this stone coffin. However, they were not as decisive as Xiao Chun. Bang! Xiao Chun sent out a palm strike and quickly took a step back. His right hand grasped the hilt of his saber tightly. The stone coffin lid immediately flew up. Xiao Chun looked down and saw the interior of the stone coffin. His expression slowly turned doubtful as his right hand released the hilt of his saber. When the others saw this, they quickly gathered around. They discovered that the stone coffin was empty. There was nothing inside. Strange, why is there nothing inside? What are you thinking? It would be strange if there was really something inside. Someone else immediately retorted. Bang! 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 The other stone coffins were opened one after another. They were all empty. There was nothing inside. Everyone felt that it was a false alarm and heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they thought about how they were in the ancient desolate tower, they had to think of a way to break through this floor and reach a higher level. Only then would they be able to obtain more benefits. The cultivators who successfully challenged the will statue would obtain a gift from the will statue. There were secret treasures, battle armor, spirit weapons, and cultivation techniques. These were all good things that were hard to come by. Even if there was nothing inside, just the increase in strength from breaking through the light barrier was enough to attract people. Thus, the crux of the matter was not whether there was anything in the stone coffin but how to break through this floor and reach a higher level. Xiao Chun's gaze wandered between the stone coffin and the gravestone. Gravestone, and the empty stone coffin. Suddenly Xiao Chun thought of something. He sank into deep thought and his expression slowly turned grave. Xiao Chun, how should we break through the third floor? What do you think? Zuemo, Jiang Zimo, and the others asked as they walked over. They thought for a long time but could not think of anything. So they asked Xiao Chun for his opinion. Xiao Chun's expression was calm as he said softly, It is clear that this is a grave. There is a gravestone and a stone coffin. What do you think is missing? The answer is very obvious. When everyone heard this, they muttered to themselves for a while. After a while, their expressions could not help but change. There was a grave, a gravestone, and a stone coffin. What was missing? Naturally, it was missing a real corpse. How could a tomb without a corpse be a complete tomb? Damn it! Could it be that we have to kill ourselves and sleep in this stone coffin before we can truly pass the test of this floor? A cultivator cursed in a low voice, feeling frustrated in his heart. Naturally, the benefits of the fourth floor were very tempting. However, if everyone died, what was the point of all that? Chu Chaoyun smiled leisurely and said, Perhaps, it is not necessary to have our own corpses. When everyone heard this, they could not help but show startled expressions. A swordsman from the great Chu nation said angrily, Chu Chaoyun, what do you mean? Chu Chaoyun's expression did not change. He looked at that swordsman and said, Whether it is true or false, we just need to find someone to test it on. For example, you. Bastard! That swordsman cursed angrily and wanted to attack. However, when he thought of Chu Chaoyun's strength, he felt fear in his heart. He quickly controlled his emotions and took a few steps back. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and said, "Is that all you have?" Chu Chaoyun's words sounded harsh. However, when everyone thought about it, they felt that it made sense. Xiao Chun was indeed right. Whether it was true or false, they just needed to find someone to test it on. If that person died, they immediately passed through the light barrier of the 3rd floor. Furthermore, that person managed to revive. This meant that this idea was feasible. Everyone could do the same. If that person died and did not revive, it meant that this idea was not right. They had to think of another way. However, no matter what, it was important to note that the person being tested could not be themselves. Xiao. The atmosphere immediately turned strange. It was so quiet that not a single sound could be heard. Together with the 10-odd graves, the place looked sinister and incomparably horrifying. Some of the people who felt that they were stronger started to scan the crowd, searching for a suitable person. The atmosphere in the tower was very strange. Everyone's nerves were tense as they grasped their weapons. Only the heavy breathing of the crowd could be heard in the dark atmosphere. They guarded against each other and kept their guard up. There was no way to determine who was a friend or an enemy. Perhaps a former friend might launch a sneak attack in order to protect himself, making him the first subject of the experiment. A former enemy would only be harder to deal with than before. They might launch a sneak attack or frame you for no reason, making you the target of everyone. Chapter 478. At this moment, just a small collision would result in a huge explosion. Everyone would probably start a chaotic battle immediately, killing each other. Xiao Chun looked at Chu Chaoyun. This was the person who caused this situation. This person was currently looking around with interest, appearing very relaxed. For the sake of a conclusion that had not been confirmed, Chu Chaoyun's words caused such a commotion. The human heart was really hard to predict. Shaking his head, Xiao Chun withdrew his gaze and ignored this group of people. Then he walked back to the stone coffin. As Xiao Chun looked at the empty stone coffin, he thought hard. There was no such thing as an unsolvable situation in this world. Since the people before him could pass the test and reach the 4th floor, it proved that there was a solution to the situation of the 3rd floor. However, what exactly was this test? It was hard to determine. Xiao Chun already had a guess in his heart, but he did not dare to be certain. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and entered deep thought. After a while, he opened his eyes. The confusion and hesitation in the depths of his eyes were gone, replaced with determination and decisiveness. After Xiao Chun made up his mind, while the group of people were still in a stalemate or discussing who to experiment on, Xiao Chun stepped into the stone coffin. Xiao Chun placed the lunar shadow saber at the side and lay down calmly. After he closed the lid of the stone coffin, he immediately closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. Bang! The sound of the stone coffin moving reverberated in the dark space. This caused the hearts of the anxious people to race. Boom! 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 The sound of the stone coffin was like ignition. When the sound rang out, several people immediately attacked the targets they had already decided on. The scene instantly turned chaotic. No one wanted to be the first target to be experimented on, so they did their best to protect themselves. Soon someone was injured. Red blood drifted in the air, stimulating the bloodlust of the crowd and increasing the intensity of the battle. When Xia Xian saw someone charging at her, she felt very depressed. She used her sword to block the other party's attack and tried to extricate herself. However, someone else immediately attacked her, either intentionally or unintentionally. This made her sink deeper and deeper. She retreated to the edge of the battlefield a few times, but every time she got dragged back in. How could there be any true weaklings among the outstanding talents who could obtain 20 spots and reach the 3rd level of the earth? The gap between them wasn't that obvious. Even if Xiao Chun were to fight any one of them, he wouldn't be able to guarantee victory within 100 moves. Why bother? It would be difficult for Xia Xian to rely on her own strength to escape. Like Xia Xian, Zhang Zimo, Zuemo, and the others wanted to extricate themselves. However, they were trapped and did not dare to use their trump cards. If he were to seriously injure someone, the situation at the scene would become even more chaotic. He had no idea what to do at the moment, so he could only protect himself. Bang! Bang! The sounds of weapons clashing and the sounds of killing rang out incessantly. Chu Chaoyun weaved through the crowd easily. Occasionally, he would send out a strand of sword qi to disrupt the situation. From a spectator's point of view, when Xia Xian and the others retreated to the edge, the attack came from Chu Chaoyun. Bang! After 1 hour, an intense explosion suddenly resounded in the 3rd floor of the ancient desolate tower. A deafening shockwave surged out. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, suppressing all the sounds of fighting. Everyone quickly turned their heads to take a look. They saw that the tombstone that Xiao Chan was in had already shattered. The stone coffin behind it slowly sank into the ground. After a while, a white figure flew into the air. Before everyone's astonished gazes, this white figure flew towards the light barrier and slowly passed through it. There was no obstruction at all. Xiao Chan passed through the barrier of the 3rd floor and arrived at the 4th floor. Everyone stopped what they were doing. They stared blankly at Xiao Chan, who had passed through the barrier of the 3rd floor. How can it be? How did he pass through? I did not see him do anything. Could it be that the barrier's blocking effect has already disappeared? Someone felt suspicious. He stomped heavily on the ground and crashed into the light barrier. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. That person bounced back as fast as he arrived. The swelling on his forehead was very obvious. He grimaced in pain. Who said that I can pass through it freely? It is simply impossible. It looks like Xiao Chan has indeed found a way to clear this floor's test. Earlier, I seem to have seen him seal himself in the stone coffin. Could it be related to this? One of the cultivators asked, feeling confused. At this time, no one was thinking about who to use for the experiment. After everyone calmed down and thought about the earlier situation, they realized that something was wrong. That's enough. Whether it is real or fake, we will know after we test it. Pei Xiaoxian roared and headed for his stone coffin. The others no longer hesitated. They all ran over to test it out. After all, they had Xiao Qin's successful experience. Pei Xiaoxian closed the lid of the stone coffin first. Then he lay quietly under it. When the stone coffin was completely closed, all Pei Xiaoxian could see was darkness. He could not help but close his eyes. Soon all the sounds disappeared. Pei Xiaoxian felt like he was in boundless darkness. He could only hear his own heartbeat. Fear appeared for no reason. Slowly, his heartbeat slowed down, and his breathing became heavier. The fear in his heart became even more intense, and he could not get rid of it. The thumping sound of his heartbeat also became weaker and softer. Am I going to die? Pei Xiaoxian thought in horror. Why is it like this? My heartbeat is about to disappear. Even my breathing is extremely weak. That earlier fear became very real. That was the fear of death. If he stayed here for even a moment longer, he would die. It's over. My heartbeat is almost gone. I can't breathe. The shadow of death already occupied Pei Xiaoxuan's heart. That kind of fear could no longer be described with words. It reached the depths of his soul. Pei Xiaoxian wanted to open his eyes. However, he discovered that his eyelids were extremely heavy. No matter how hard he tried, he could not open them. No, I cannot die. I have outstanding talent and strength. Even if I cannot clear this ancient desolate tower, I will still be an outstanding talent in the great Tang nation. My future will be limitless. I am only 22 years old. I am still young. I cannot die. I cannot die in this ancient desolate tower. Such thoughts resounded in Pei Xiaoxuan's mind. Finally, he could not endure it any longer. He used his palm to open the heavy stone coffin. Fresh air blew into Pei Xiaoxuan's face. He sat up and panted heavily. His clothes were already drenched in sweat. He felt like he had just passed by the gates of hell. He rejoiced in his heart. It was better to be alive. Bang! Before Pei Xiaoxian could get up, a huge force came from the stone coffin. This force tossed him out. Pei Xiaoxuan's body passed through the wall and landed outside the ancient desolate tower. He stopped at the 3rd floor. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! A few other outstanding talents could not withstand the fear of death. They were tossed out one after another, losing the qualifications to continue. In this lifetime, they would stop at the 3rd floor. Shi Hailong looked at the 7 or 8 cultivators that fell out of the tower. He shook his head slightly and sighed. The 3rd floor is the easiest but also the most difficult. When death approaches, if you can still maintain your calm and maintain the desire to go to the next floor, you will be able to make it up easily. An old man at the side smiled and said, "It's easier said than done. That kind of death is no different from a real death. In such a situation, it would be difficult for most cultivators to maintain their composure. In the past, only 3 or 4 people passed this floor at most. I remember there was a previous batch where many people killed each other. In the end, not a single person passed. The third floor tested a cultivator's attitude toward life and death, as well as their determination. In other words, it tested a cultivator's mental state. If one's mental state was not strong enough, they could forget about going to the 4th floor. Shi Hailong counted the number of lights that reached the 3rd floor. He muttered to himself, "Fortunately, 6 people went up. This is the best result in the past few years. Old Stone, that person only took 10 minutes to reach the 4th floor. I'm guessing that he's the martial artist who broke the will statue." As invigilators, they had already experienced the trial of the ancient desolate tower several times. They clearly knew how realistic the fear of death was. This person was able to maintain his calm and break through in 10 minutes. Since ancient times, very few people could do that. Shi Hailong's eyes narrowed as he smiled. "That's him. My gaze never left him. Just watch. This person will definitely give us a pleasant surprise. The 4th, 5th, and 6th floors will not be able to stop him." Who is this person? Is it Chu Chaoyun, Xiaochan, Zua Mo, Ding Fengqiu, or Jiang Zimo? The few of them discussed among themselves. However, until the very last moment, they could not be sure who had such ability. Dida! Dida! Xiaochan's body slowly passed through the 3rd layer of light. This time he passed through it for a total of 20 seconds. However, this time it was twice as much as the 3rd floor. Pure purple essence liquid fell like rain. When Xiaochan landed on the ground, the purple chi whirlpool suddenly exploded. An abundant energy filled his body. Xiaochan felt his blood surge and his strength soar. Xiaochan's face lit up in joy. He muttered, "I finally broke through to medial grade martial king." Xiaochan had been cultivating a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. Furthermore, when he broke through to martial king, he had absorbed too many spirit herbs. As a result, Xiaochan's foundation was much stronger than that of ordinary cultivators. It was much more difficult for him to advance. This was a good thing. Being able to defeat a superior grade martial king when he was an inferior grade martial king was naturally a good thing. However, this was also a bad thing. The difficulty of raising one's cultivation would severely affect a cultivator's mental state, making it hard for them to calm down and cultivate. It might even result in a feeling of disgust. No matter how hard one cultivated, one's progress would be slow. In that case, what was the point of cultivating? Xiaochan's mental state was strong. He would not have such thoughts. The only drawback was that his progress was too slow. It would be problematic if he was left behind by others of the same generation. It did not matter if they were all martial kings or even half-step martial monarchs. However, the problem was that once the other party advanced to martial monarch, their essence would undergo a qualitative change. Chapter 479. Essence would evolve into quintessence. A strand of quintessence would be able to block 10 times more essence. As long as one became a martial monarch, one would be able to execute a quintessence shield. Even if one's essence cultivation was heaven-defying, one would not be able to break through it. It was like the difference between a wooden sword and a steel shield. No matter how thick and long a wooden sword was, how could it break a steel shield? Wood was wood. Hardness was hardness. This was the difference between essence and quintessence. However, the strange light of the ancient desolate tower gave Xiaochan an opportunity. As long as he continued to advance and surpass others, he would leave everyone behind. He would reach a height that no one could match. In terms of cultivation, not only would he catch up to the peak geniuses of the same generation, but it would also give him a chance to surpass them. The test of the 3rd floor was as Xiaochan had guessed. The tombstones, coffins, and tombstones all represented death. Xiaochan would have to face the test of death. The feeling of his heart stopping, his breathing stopping, and the pressure of death slowly pressed down on him. With the addition of the sarcophagus, it gave people the feeling that they were there. In other words, it was a real death. How to overcome fear was the key to clearing the third floor. Fortunately, Xiao Chun had a strong will. His desire for the ancient desolate tower was higher than anyone else's. Xiao Chun knew that his cultivation was weak. If he wanted to catch up, climbing the ancient desolate tower was his only chance to do so. As long as he could overcome the fear of death, he would be able to break through the test and make a breakthrough. Recollecting his thoughts, Xiao Chun stopped thinking about his experiences in the third floor. There was nothing much to think about when death approached him step by step. Xiao Chun started to look around the fourth floor. The fourth floor was rather spacious, and the walls did not look any different. Ancient scrolls floated in the air. When the scrolls unfurled, they depicted various dangerous places in the world. This is the Scarlet Blood Flame Prison, the 10,000 Poison Ice Cave, the 10 Layers of Purgatory, the Deep Sea Battlefield, the Ink Forest. When Xiao Chun saw the scenes depicted in the scrolls, his expression slowly changed. It looked like this floor truly tested a cultivator's combat prowess. Hu Qi, Ding Fengqiu, Jiang Zimo, Xiaoxian Zua Mo Muxinya Chu Chaoyun and Chu Mu appeared on the ground. The test of death on the third floor had eliminated most of the cultivators with weak wills. Now there were only 8 people left, including Xiao Chun. Suddenly, Ding Fengqiu's body paused. He looked at Xiao Chun and exclaimed, "You broke through?" The others did not understand what was going on. They all looked at Xiao Chun as well, and their expressions changed. Before entering the ancient desolate tower, Xiao Chun was merely an inferior grade martial king. Although he had reached the pinnacle, there was still a long way to go before he could break through. Even the best geniuses would need 2 months to break through after cultivating a top-tier earth-class cultivation technique with the help of miraculous elixirs. However, Xiao Chun managed to break through to medial-grade martial king in less than half a day. It was impossible not to be shocked. Xiao Chun nodded. "Yes, I just broke through." Doubt appeared in Jiang Zimo's eyes. He said, "Strange, our cultivation also increased. However, why are we not as fast as you?" Xiao Chun smiled faintly and did not dwell on this topic. He had a guess in his heart. Whoever broke through first would gain the most benefits. Of the 3 floors, Xiao Chun was the first to break through. Naturally, he would gain more than the others. The 8 of them did not say anything more. They focused their attention on the paintings and started to discuss them in detail. The places in these paintings are all forbidden lands in the Tianwu continent. Could it be that we have to pass through these forbidden lands to break through to this floor? Zuemo pointed to one of the paintings and said, "That painting shows the Great Tang Nation's demonic beast cave. Even peak martial monarchs would not dare to say that they can do as they please there." Xia Xian said, "I believe the test of this floor comes from these paintings. The places in the paintings should be less dangerous. Otherwise, there would be no point in them existing. They would just chase us out." Xiao. Chu Chaoyun waved his hand and put away the painting of the 10,000 Poison Ice Cave. He stared at the painting for a while before he turned into a beam of dim light and entered it. The others also started to carefully choose the dangerous lands that they were good at. After everyone made their choices, Xiao Chun made his own decision. The Scarlet Blood Prison painting was sucked over. As Xiao Chun stared at it, a huge suction force came from the painting, as though it wanted to pull in one's soul. Xiao Chun did not use his spiritual sense to resist. He allowed it to pull him in. After that, he turned into a beam of dim light and entered the painting. Boom! As Xiao Chun's figure moved, he found himself in a desolate space. When he looked up, the sky was scarlet. Strands of scarlet flaming clouds drifted around continuously. In the center of his head, a giant blood-colored lotus flame was blooming in an incomparably enchanting manner, appearing very strange. The surroundings were very sinister and cold. When Xiao Chun looked up, he saw scarlet pillars supporting the sky at the farthest ends of the horizon. The scarlet pillars were connected to the clouds. They looked like a huge cage wrapping up the surroundings. It looked very grand. Xiao Chun muttered, "This should be the Scarlet Blood Prison. It is made of the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame. There is a Blood Flame Beast King guarding each of the 4 scarlet pillars. As long as Xiao Chun killed these 4 Blood Flame Beast Kings and broke the cage, he should be able to clear this stage." As for the Scarlet Blood Frost Flame, it was an extremely monstrous flame. Xiao Chun would not be able to resist it. The designer of the ancient desolate tower would not be so stupid as to ask Xiao Chan to subdue the scarlet blood frost flame. That would really be chasing him away. The scarlet blood frost flame was a strange flame that drifted in the world. Rumor had it that it was a demonic flame that a martial emperor of the ancient era refined. After that martial emperor fell, the scarlet blood frost flame did not extinguish. It drifted around uncontrollably. Wherever they went, they were invincible and unstoppable. Cities and empires could be completely destroyed. It killed countless people and gathered countless aggrieved spirits. At the same time, these aggrieved spirits strengthened the scarlet blood frost flame. The blood flame beast was a monster formed by the aggrieved spirits and the flame. It was neither human nor beast, neither fiend nor demon. Its strength was extremely horrifying. The remaining emperor-level powerhouses tried several times to refine it or destroy it, but to no avail. However, the scarlet blood frost flame had absorbed too many aggrieved spirits. It already had a basic level of intelligence. Furthermore, it was extremely strong. Ordinary martial emperor experts were not a match for it. The last surviving martial emperor could only helplessly seal it under the great Jin nation's heavenly boat mountain, forming the strange scarlet blood prison. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! As Xiao Chan pondered, the scarlet lotus above his head suddenly shook. Countless petals made of scarlet flames drifted down to the ground. The flames were like fresh blood, glistening and alluring. It looked like a rain of scarlet petals. It was very demonic. This was a strange sight. However, Xiao Chen's expression changed. His figure flickered as he quickly retreated. Xiao! 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 After the scarlet petals landed on the ground, they wriggled continuously and formed 2-meter-tall humanoid blood flame beasts. When Xiao Chan looked around, there were at least 200 blood flame beasts. After they landed, they immediately charged at Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan narrowed his eyes. He felt the aura of the blood flame beasts. They were equivalent to human superior-grade martial kings. A true blood flame beast was at least a half-step martial monarch. It looked like this painting gave the challenger a chance of survival. It was not too exaggerated. The blood flame beasts were made of scarlet inattributed flames. Their eyes were 2 black holes, and a fist-sized white light flickered on their chests. That was the sole imprint of the aggrieved spirit. The aggrieved spirit did not have any memories, but it retained its combat experience. As Xiao Chan retreated, he looked at the blood flame beasts drifting about. He muttered, "It retains its combat experience. It is indeed difficult to deal with. However, in the end it is an inattributed flame. My purple thunder true fire should be able to restrain it." One of the reasons why Xiao Chan chose the scarlet blood prison was because the scarlet blood frost flame was an inattributed flame. The young attributed purple thunder true fire countered it. However, when it came to restraining each other, it was like water and fire. Water could extinguish fire, and fire could extinguish water. In the end, they restrained each other. Whoever was stronger would be able to deal a fatal blow to the other party, and the damage would be higher. Xiao Chan sheathed the lunar shadow saber at his waist and moved his 10 fingers. Purple flames appeared on his fingertips. As his essence was exhausted, the 10 strands of flame started to spread out. Xiao Chan quickly formed hand seals with his 10 fingers. As his fingers danced, the 10 strands of flames floating in front of him started to condense, turning into short swords. When the hand seals were completed, the short swords formed by the purple thunder true fire took shape. The lines on the swords looked very realistic, like a dagger giving off purple flames. Life bestowal spell. Xiao Chan shouted and raised his right hand. The short swords immediately shot out, and a significant amount of the mental energy in his sea of consciousness was instantly drained. The target of the short swords was very clear, the white light on the blood flame beast's chest. Once the mark of the aggrieved spirit was destroyed, the blood flame beast would automatically break free. Regular weapons would not have much of an effect on the mental energy mark. However, these flaming weapons merged with Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, and the life bestowal spell were the bane of this thing. Qi, qi. Under the control of Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, the 10 short swords instantly struck their target, stabbing into the white light. Strands of black smoke came out from the blood flame beast's head. Roar! The 10 blood flame beasts that had been struck let out heart-wrenching screams. They tried to pull out the purple flame daggers with their hands, but to no avail. Bang! The white specks of light were completely whittled away by the dagger, and the blood flame beast immediately turned into countless blood-red flames, dissipating into the surroundings. It is indeed effective. Xiao Qin's face lit up in joy. Although using the Purple Thunder True Fire to execute the life bestowal spell exhausted a lot of mental energy, it was not as effective as before. However, compared to the lethality of the attack, it was not worth mentioning at all. A single hit would kill the target without a doubt. Such an effect was definitely worth it. Xiao Qin gently pushed off the ground and activated the Blood Flame Shoe's secret technique. His speed reached Mach 4. As he retreated, the pursuing blood flame beasts managed to widen the distance between them. Chapter 480. Xiao. After summoning 10 clumps of flames, Xiao Qin quickly executed the life bestowal spell again. As the short sword flew out, 10 blood flame beasts immediately died. Just like that, Xiao Qin used his advantage in speed to prevent the blood flame beasts from surrounding him. On the other hand, Xiao Qin's hands danced around, forming hand seals continuously as he executed the life bestowal spell. The number of 200 blood flame beasts started to decrease. However, Xiao Qin was not in a rush. As he killed the blood flame beasts, he familiarized himself with the life bestowal spell with the Purple Thunder True Fire. This was also a form of cultivation. It was not a waste of time. Furthermore, it was stable and would not make any mistakes. After 2 hours, not a single blood flame beast could be seen on the ground. When Xiao Qin stopped, he felt slightly dizzy. This was the side effect of exhausting his mental energy. However, it was still within his control. After resting for a while, Xiao Qin opened his eyes again, feeling much better. Hu Qi! The scarlet flower petals rained down from the sky once again. This time, Xiao Qin would not give the blood flame beast a chance to land on the ground and change its form. Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations. Xiao Qin shouted and executed the Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations. His figure soared into the sky and he drew the lunar shadow saber with a ka sound. Purple pure yang flames dyed the saber blade. 9 figures danced around in the air. Saber lights flickered and chopped the flower petals into sparks before they landed on the ground. Merge! The 9 figures merged back together, and Xiao Qin landed on the ground. When he saw the scarlet sparks filling the sky, he revealed a faint smile. This made things much easier. Xiao Qin withdrew his gaze and quickly headed for the scarlet pillars in the west. Every scarlet pillar had a blood flame beast king. These were the strong blood flame beasts that the scarlet blood frost flame used to deal with the seal. As long as Xiao Qin killed these 4 blood flame beasts, the scarlet blood prison would break on its own. At that time, the power of the seal would completely suppress the scarlet blood frost flame. In terms of combat prowess, a blood flame beast king could rival a peak martial monarch. However, it was unknown how much weaker this painting was. Moving like a bolt of lightning, Xiao Qin strode forward in this blood-red world. After a few breaths, the towering blood-red pillar was right in front of him. Xiao! At this moment, a scarlet flower petal rapidly fell from the sky above. The lotus-shaped flame in the sky flickered. He seemed to know what Xiao Qin was going to do and was very anxious. Xiao Qin smiled faintly and slowly drew his lunar shadow saber. He said, "It is the same move. If it is useless the second time, it will be even more useless the third time." Xiao Qin pushed off the ground and soared into the air. He split into 9 clones and executed Wuxia transforms to Qi, trying to chop all the flower petals into sparks. Bang bang bang. However, the petals that were about to form blood flame beasts suddenly exploded, forming blood flame beasts in the air. However, they were much smaller than the first batch of blood flame beasts. Their auras were also much weaker. Xiao Qin's smile faded and his expression turned grave again. It looked like the rumors of this scarlet blood frost flame gaining some consciousness were true. It actually knew how to reduce its might and shorten the time it took for the blood flame beasts to form to delay him. Bang! 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 There were too many blood flame beasts. In the blink of an eye, several of Xiao Qin's clones were burned to nothing by the surging flames. I have to think of a way to break out of this encirclement. There are more than 200 blood flame beasts, too many. Xiao Qin focused and a fierce flame started burning in his right eye. Bang! The huge clump of flames infused with the Purple Thunder True Fire's origin flame surged forward. Under the ferocious attacks of this pure yang attributed flame, the purple thunder true fire's origin flame was unable to withstand it. Under the ferocious attacks of this pure yang flame, the large number of blood flame beasts in front of Xiao Qian were immediately blasted into nothingness. Xiao Qian successfully broke out of the encirclement. When Xiao Qian landed on the ground, he sheathed his saber and repeated the same move. Broken swords made of purple thunder true fire started to attack the blood flame beasts. Xiao! Xiao! As Xiao Qian became more familiar with the life bestowal spell, he made the blood flame beasts on the ground disappear one by one. The blood flame beasts, which gave others a headache, were unable to cause much trouble at Xiao Qian's hands. After Xiao Qian dealt with this batch of blood flame beasts, the scarlet blood frost flame in the sky moved again. A boundless scarlet rain descended, and another large group of blood flame beasts descended. Xiao Qian did not show any impatience on his face. He smiled gently and said, "You want to compete in patience? In that case, you are looking for the wrong person. Let's see who can last longer." As the scarlet rain fell, another few hundred blood flame beasts formed. Xiao Qian squinted and moved his 10 fingers, summoning 20-odd clumps of flames in one breath. The flames quickly turned corporeal, turning into many short swords with the help of the life bestowal spell. With the help of the life bestowal spell, every sword was a killing move. Xiao Qian dealt with the blood flame beast with every sword strike. The scarlet blood frost flame was just using an endless barrage of attacks to wear down Xiao Qian's patience. If Xiao Qian panicked before the battle started, he would not be able to remain calm when he reached the top of the towering scarlet pillar. Naturally, his combat prowess would drop by several levels. However, the scarlet blood frost flame had found the wrong person. Xiao Qian's mental state was much higher than that of his peers. He treated the scarlet blood frost flame's attacks as a whetstone for practicing the life bestowal spell. He continuously tempered himself, using the purple thunder true fire to practice the life bestowal spell. Furthermore, Xiao Qian believed that the scarlet blood frost flame's energy could not be used indefinitely. There would be a time when it would run out or when it would need to stop. Time slowly went by. Xiao Qian was already able to control only 10 short swords at the start. Now, he could control 50 short swords at the same time. Furthermore, the number of short swords continued to increase. His improvement was godly. After destroying another group of blood flame beasts, Xiao Qian's smile widened. He said, "Such a good place to cultivate. I really cannot find another place like this." Xiao Qian's spiritual sense was incredibly strong, comparable to that of a martial monarch. As long as he did not exhaust all of his mental energy in one go, he would be able to defeat Xiao Qian easily. As long as he did not exhaust all his mental energy, he could take advantage of the time when the blood rain fell to the ground and rest for a while. That way, he would be able to replenish most of his exhausted mental energy. Wang! After finishing off the last batch of blood flame beasts, Xiao Qian closed his eyes again and waited for a while. Xiao Qian's mental energy had already completely recovered. However, he still had not sensed the blood rain falling. So Xiao Qian opened his eyes. He looked at the scarlet blood frost flame in the sky, which had already dimmed significantly. He smiled faintly and said, "How unfortunate. I was so close to learning how to control 100 short swords at the same time." If this scarlet blood frost flame really had the 7 emotions and 6 desires of a human, it would have vomited blood when it heard this. Xiao Qian treated its killing move like a tonic and even complained that it was too little. Then Xiao Qian pushed off the ground and rushed towards the towering scarlet pillar. After a few breaths, he finally reached the top of the 2,000-meter-tall pillar. There was a vast platform at the top of the pillar. It seemed to be stuck to the clouds. A blood flame beast king stood on the platform. It looked like a real person. 2 spots of white light floated in its eyes as it looked coldly and emotionlessly at Xiao Qian, who was slowly approaching. Xiao Qian looked at the chest of the blood flame beast king. He saw a round, hard scarlet lump on its chest. It was like a breastplate protecting the blood flame beast king's only weakness. Xiao Qian could not help but frown. Given this, Xiao Qian's moves, which worked on other blood flame beasts, might not work on this blood flame beast king. However, based on the blood flame beast king's aura, it had only reached the level of a peak martial king. It was not to the point where it could not put up a fight. Xiao Qian landed firmly on the towering scarlet pillar. The clouds made of scarlet flames above his head were as smooth as a mirror. As he pressed tightly against the towering scarlet pillar, Xiao Chun only needed to jump up gently, and he would be able to touch the mirror-like scarlet clouds. Xiao! The instant Xiao Chun landed, the Blood Flame Beast King turned into a red afterimage and charged at Xiao Chun. The Blood Flame Beast King waved its hand, and a clump of scarlet flames shot at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun drew the lunar shadow saber at lightning speed. He did not hesitate at all. Countless pure yang attributed flames soared up from the saber. Bang! Boom! Xiao Chun swung his saber at lightning speed. The expected situation of the scarlet flames splitting in half did not happen. Instead, they exploded and turned into surging shockwaves. The so-called yin and yang restraining each other was only relative. When two sides were equal in strength, the so-called restraining effect was the same for both sides. Bah! Xiao Chun ruthlessly smashed his right palm against the shockwaves and knocked them back. The shockwaves surged towards the rapidly moving Blood Flame Beast. The Blood Flame Beast King paused for a moment. Originally, it wanted to cause some trouble for Xiao Chun and wait for an opportunity to make a move. However, it knew that Xiao Chun would actually knock this problem back to itself. Xiao! 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 The red afterimage stopped and punched. The purple thunder true fire and the scarlet blood frost flame formed a chaotic clump of energy. The purple and red alternated as they spun rapidly in the air. Then they flew at Xiao Chun again. On the towering scarlet pillar, Xiao Chun and the Blood Flame Beast King moved back and forth. The two flames of completely different attributes formed a mass of primal chaos that rapidly rolled between the man and the beast. Every time the two of them knocked back the clump of energy, they would infuse some energy into it. As time passed, the energy contained in the clump of energy reached a horrifying level. Under the influence of the energy, the pure scarlet clouds in the sky started to fluctuate, spreading out like ripples on water. Xiao Chun had a cautious expression. He did not dare to be careless. He executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art to its limits. His figure moved with the clump of energy, occasionally sending all sorts of saber techniques at the attacking Blood Flame Beast. Bang! 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 Xiao Chun and the Blood Flame Beast King stood in the air above the clump of chaotic energy. They both executed their techniques to attack the other's vital points. Arclight chop! Xiao Chun shouted and his saber moved in an elegant arc. A purple flame burned on the arc. This caught the Blood Flame Beast King off guard, which wanted to attack Xiao Chun from the side. The Blood Flame Beast King had not expected that the saber chi that was clearly coming from the front would extend to the side. Wuxia! The purple flame wrapped around the Blood Flame Beast King and chopped off the right hand of the Blood Flame Beast King. Roar! The Blood Flame Beast roared in pain. However, it did not stop moving. It opened its left hand and 5 scarlet fingers grabbed at Xiao Chun's left shoulder. You are seeking death. Xiao Chun snorted coldly and turned his left hand into a claw. He quickly executed the Dragon Claw Fist and an Azure Dragon Claw appeared, clashing with the Blood Flame Beast King. Chapter 481. The Dragon Claw latched onto the Blood Flame Beast King's fingers. Then Xiao Chun grabbed and twisted. A huge force spread out and tore off the Blood Flame Beast King's arm. The Blood Flame Beast King's arms were broken, and it fell to the ground. It let out an ear-piercing roar of pain. Wuxia! Sparks spread out, and the Blood Flame Beast King's arm actually grew back at a visible rate. Xiao Chun's expression did not change. He knew that unless he attacked the Blood Flame Beast King's vital point, which was the soul imprint, he would not be able to cause any substantial damage. Xiao Chun landed on the ground at lightning speed, and a fierce purple flame started to spread in his right eye. Finally it burst out. The flame whirlpool infused with the purple thunder true fire's origin flame merged with the surging primal chaos chi in the air. Then it carried surging energy as it headed for the Blood Flame Beast. The primal chaos chi, which was already reaching its limits, started to crack when it received such a vast and pure yang attributed flame. A small hole appeared in the surging scarlet clouds above, and a strand of resplendent golden light fell from it. When the Blood Flame Beast King saw the surging primal chaos chi with a surging aura, its expression changed greatly. This primal chaos chi was no longer something it could block. It had already wasted some time trying to regrow its arm. Now it was too late to dodge. The blood flame beast king could only grit its teeth and wave its palms. A scarlet flame shield formed in front of it, ready to fight to the death. Xiao Chun did not even want to give the blood flame beast king one last chance. He released the saber hilt and sent out a palm strike. Xiao! The palm sword immediately shot out and turned into a beam of dim light. It disappeared in a flash and tore a small hole in the scarlet flame shield. Boom! The primal chaos chi arrived and the shield, which already had a small hole in it, could no longer block it. The primal chaos chi shattered it. A horrifying energy instantly exploded. The blood flame beast king was blasted into a sorry state. The glow on its body dimmed, and the most important thing was that a crack appeared on its chest. Looking through the crack, one could clearly see a white brilliance pulsating continuously. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold. He instantly sheathed the lunar shadow saber and summoned out a clump of purple flames. Then he quickly formed hand seals. Life bestowal spell. Xiao! The short sword, which was surrounded by purple flames, instantly pierced through the crack. The king-grade blood flame beast roared angrily, and its body, which had already lost its luster, started to crack. In the end, it completely turned into wisps of flames that scattered into the sky. As the king-level blood flame beast died, Xiao Chun finally let out a sigh of relief. This king-level blood flame beast was no weaker than him. Furthermore, Xiao Chen's body was completely composed of flames, making it extremely troublesome to deal with him. If not for the life bestowal spell formed by the purple flames, the explosion of the ball of qi at the end would not have been able to deal any fatal damage to him. The longer it dragged on, the more disadvantageous the situation would be for Xiao Chun. Kacha kacha! The mirror-like clouds above the blood pillar started to crack. The strand of golden light grew larger and larger. Finally, it turned into a golden pillar of light and descended. Bang bang bang! Under the illumination of the golden light, the blood pillar started to rumble continuously. Finally, it shattered, and the 1,000-meter-tall blood pillar collapsed. Xiao Chun landed back on the ground and said indifferently, "There are still 3 more spots. The combat prowess of the blood flame beast king is weaker than mine. However, its recovery rate is much faster than mine. So I have to end this quickly. Even if I have to use all my trump cards, I will not hesitate." Xiao Chun closed his eyes and analyzed the earlier battle. When he opened his eyes, he only came to one conclusion. It was a quick battle. He had to think of a way to break through the hard block in front of the blood flame beast king's chest. Even if he was injured, he had to do it. Then, he would use the short sword made of purple flames. This was the best way to deal with the blood flame beast king. 6 hours later, Xiao Chun killed the last blood flame beast king in the scarlet blood cage. Another hole appeared in the scarlet clouds. The golden pillar of light descended, and the blood pillar collapsed. Xiao Chun landed on the ground. His white robes were already dyed red. Countless wounds of various sizes covered his body. He was clearly mentally fatigued. Panting slightly, Xiao Chun stuffed a medicinal pill into his mouth. Then, he sat down cross-legged and circulated his energy to heal the wounds on his body. Sha! 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 As the 4 blood pillars collapsed, the scarlet clouds above started to shatter. The cage collapsed on its own, just as Xiao Chun had expected. When all the blood clouds disappeared, a dazzling golden light shone down from the sky. The cold qi in the entire space disappeared completely. Ah! A huge golden palm appeared in the golden light, occupying half of the sky. The lines on the huge palm were very clear. It carried a supreme might as it grabbed the strange lotus-shaped flame and pulled it out. Xiao Chun vaguely saw the scarlet blood frost flame and the huge palm fighting intensely. He wondered if it had been pulled out of the golden light. However, Xiao Chun did not know. He had already turned into a beam of dim light and flew out of the painting. When Xiao Chun looked around, the familiar environment of the ancient desolate tower appeared before him. He looked at the paintings that the other 7 had chosen. They were all still there. He should be the first to come out. Xiao Chun withdrew his gaze and focused on the painting in his hand. He slowly unfurled the painting, and a new scene appeared before him. The scarlet blood prison that had been supporting the sky was no longer there. The picture in the painting turned into a golden palm slowly holding up a lotus made of scarlet flames. Xiao Chun thought to himself, this painting is really strange. It can absorb the projection of the real world. In the future, if I meet an enemy that I cannot deal with, I can open this painting and lock them up. I wonder if I can bring it out? Xiao Chun tried to place it in his universe ring. However, he discovered a formless resistance. He could not succeed. Xiao Chun could only place it in his embrace. There were many wounds on his body. His external injuries were horrifying, and his internal injuries were not good either. The Yin flame of the blood flame beast had entered his body and burned his meridians. He had to recover before he could enter the next floor. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged, continuing to treat his injuries. Xiao! After a while there was the sound of wind. Xiao Chun checked with his spiritual sense and discovered that Xia Xian had failed her challenge. She had been ejected out of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chun felt it was a pity. Then he continued to focus on treating his injuries. Soon another dim light flashed. Mu Xinya had failed her challenge as well. Every now and then another dim light would flash. Jiang Zimo and Chu Mu had both failed their challenges. They were all ejected out of the ancient desolate tower. Xiao Chun thought to himself, how lucky I am. If I did not have the purple thunder true fire, I would not have been able to clear the scarlet blood prison so smoothly. Otherwise, I would not have ended up much better than these people. The chances of me failing would have been very high. After a while, with the nourishment of essence and medicinal pills, Xiao Chun's internal injuries were significantly better. The wounds on his body had already healed completely. There were no longer any visible injuries. Xiao Chun opened his eyes and stood up. I can only do this. If I want to recover completely, I will need at least half a day. I cannot afford to wait that long. Bang! Just at this moment, one of the paintings shattered, turning into countless pieces of paper flying through the air. Chu Chaoyun stood on the ground in a sorry state. Frost covered his entire body, and his lips were frighteningly black. It looked like Chu Chaoyun had met with some trouble in the 10,000 poison ice cave. However, he had managed to get out. Bang! Bang! There were two more crisp sounds and the two paintings exploded at the same time. Zhou Emo and Ding Fengqiu had passed the test of the paintings. The two of them were in a sorry state. After they came out, they did not say anything. They only looked at Xiao Chun with some astonishment before they started to treat their injuries with Chu Chaoyun. Xiao Chun noticed that when they came out, the painting had already exploded into pieces. However, his painting was as good as new. There had to be some unknown reason behind this. However, this was not the time to think about this. Xiao Chun gently pushed off the ground. Xiao Chun quickly flew towards the halo above his head. There were no obstructions as he successfully broke through the layer of light. Dida! 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 The pure essence liquid fell unceasingly. This time it took a full 80 seconds for Xiao Chun to completely pass through the barrier of the halo. Xiao Chun opened his eyes. He could clearly feel the overflowing energy in his body. Not only had he completely replenished the essence he exhausted earlier, but the size of the Qi whirlpool had also increased. A smile appeared on Xiao Chun's face. This layer of light was sufficient to last him for 2 months of bitter cultivation. Looking up, Xiao Chun started to size up the environment of the 5th floor. There was a mysterious door of light flashing in front of him. Aside from that, there was nothing else in the 5th floor. The door flickered with light, and Xiao Chun's figure appeared in front of it. In that blurry light, Xiao Chun wore long white robes. 18 blue dragons revolved around him as he stood on the summit of a boundlessly tall mountain. Below the mountain's summit, there was a crowd of people looking up at the person on the summit with reverent gazes. Xiao Chun was slightly startled. However, he still calmly analyzed the situation in his heart. It seems like it can see a certain part of a person's desires. Standing at the peak, receiving the respect of millions of people, immortalized for thousands of years. This was Xiao Chun's goal in pursuing the martial Tao. This test should be the test of desire. It was the same as the test of death on the 3rd floor. This was the temptation of life, a test of desire. Some people's hearts were as firm as a rock. Even when facing the pressure of death, they would not waver. However, on the path of a cultivator, what was worse than death was desire. Death was a hard pressure, but desire was a soft knife to grind. Without one realizing it, one would sink into it and be unable to advance any further. This was even scarier than death. No matter what, I have to face it calmly. Being able to reach this floor is already pretty good. Xiao Chun had a cautious expression on his face. He could not guarantee that he could face the desire calmly. He could only take it one step at a time. After taking a deep breath, Xiao Chun raised his leg and stepped into the light. Xiao! After Xiao Chun entered the light, Chu Chaoyun, Zhuo Mo, and Ding Fengqiu appeared on the 5th floor. These people must have been rather anxious. When they saw that Xiao Chun had entered the 5th floor ahead of time, and had only recovered from a small portion of his internal injuries, they rushed up. Chapter 482. It is actually the door of desire. The three of them studied the light for a long time before they finally understood what this light was. Their expressions could not help but change, and they became very cautious. The three of them were able to obtain the qualifications to participate in the selection from tens of thousands of cultivators. Then they obtained 20 spots from a group filled with geniuses. In the end, they had put in a lot of effort before they reached this step. All of them were dragons and phoenixes among men. They had their own unique understandings of the martial way. Naturally, they knew the difficulty of desire and what it meant to cultivators. Ding Fengqiu revealed a bitter smile on his face. He sighed. I did not expect that the test of the 5th floor would be this door of desire. Desire to not sink into desire. Difficult. Ding Fengqiu said the word difficult 3 times in one breath. His emotions were very complicated. In reality, it was hard to calm one's desires. In the door of desire, those desires would be magnified several times over. It would be even more difficult to calmly walk through it. If one could not walk out, they might sink into desire forever. Forever trapped in the door of desire. Zhuo Mo's expression was also uncertain. He did not know what to do. Clearly, he did not have the confidence to clear this door of desire. Just as the two of them were silent, Chu Chaoyun, who was at the side, slowly entered the door of light with a calm expression. Then he disappeared from the two's sight. Zhuo Mo's expression froze. He wanted to follow after Chu Chaoyun. However, his rationality overcame his impulse. Zhuo Mo clenched his fist tightly and said with some dissatisfaction, "It was not easy to reach the 5th floor. I did not expect that I would have to take the initiative to give up. I am really not resigned to this." Ding Fengqiu looked at Zhuo Mo, this old rival of his for many years. He sighed softly, stopped feeling conflicted. Knowing when to give up might be a form of improvement. Originally, Ding Fengqiu thought that the main character of this trial of the ancient desolate tower would be between the two of them. He did not expect that in the end, Xiao Chun and Chu Chaoyun would snatch away all the glory. Most peak geniuses would be able to calmly make their decisions. Ding Fengqiu and Zhuo Mo were such people. After they sighed, they quickly recovered. Zhuo Mo shifted his gaze to Ding Fengqiu and said softly, "In the previous 5-nation youth competition, I defeated you by 1 move. After that, we did not fight seriously for the next 2 years. After this parting at the ancient desolate tower, we will probably have to wait until the next 5-nation youth competition to fight again. Right here, right now, how about we fight one more time?" Ding Fengqiu grasped the sword hilt tightly with his right hand and smiled faintly. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "That is exactly what I was thinking. Let me see your improvement over the past year." In the vast space, the glowing door of desire was thrown to the side by the two of them, and they began to fight just like that. With such a state of mind, they were able to calmly make choices in the face of their desires. Regardless of whether they had experienced it or not, the cultivation of their state of mind had taken a big step forward. Even if he didn't reach a higher level with this attitude, he might be able to reach the peak of the martial path. The instant Xiao Chun stepped into the ring of light, his mind turned chaotic. Many things appeared in his mind. It was like he had forgotten some things and remembered even more. Xiao Chun was the white-robed bladesman. After the Thunder King, he was the only person to become a martial sage before the age of 30. Furthermore, he had established his own sect, the 10,000 Saber sect. He was the sect master and had tens of thousands of disciples. Now, not only was Xiao Chun at the peak of the great Qin nation, but with the help of the 10,000 Saber sect, even the royal court did not dare challenge him. Xiao Chun even seemed to suppress the royal court, showing signs of replacing them at any moment. However, he also felt like he had forgotten something that seemed important and unimportant at the same time. When Xiao Chun opened his eyes, he discovered that he was standing on the summit of a mountain. When he looked up, he saw that the clouds in the sky were within reach. The winds and clouds churned, creating a huge scene. Xiao Chun's eyes were filled with confusion. After a while, he used 2 fingers as a sword and pointed at the sky. Boom! Xiao Chun's aura burst forth. It was like a stagnant waterfall that had been suppressed for a long time. At this moment, it suddenly burst forth and crashed down. When Xiao Chun pointed, the clouds churned and instantly tore a large hole. The formless energy was like a sharp divine weapon. After it tore through the clouds, its momentum did not decrease. Finally, it tore through the sky and left behind a pitch-black hole. Then, it headed for the boundless and mysterious world outside the sky. After breaking through the clouds did not gather for a long time. Xiao Chun stood upright with his hands behind his back. As he looked at the mysterious phenomenon in the sky, he muttered, "No matter what, this strength is the most practical. If I have forgotten something, then forget it." Xiao Chun clenched his fist tightly. The confusion in his eyes disappeared and turned incredibly cold. On the path of a cultivator, only strength was the most practical. Everything else was fabricated, just temptations, trivial matters of the mortal world. He had to cut them all off. Cut. Cut. Withdraw. Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes and clasped his fingers together. Instantly, it seemed like he grasped the laws of heaven and earth. Under the influence of the laws, the large hole in the sky slowly mended. The clouds churned and the winds and clouds changed, returning to normal. Xiao! A figure quickly flashed below the mountain. That person wore blue robes with a slender lunar shadow saber embroidered on his chest. That was the symbol of the 10,000 Saber sect. The symbol of this blue-robed youth was different from the others. There was a golden scabbard embroidered beside the lunar shadow saber. This person was Lan Chou, the personal disciple of the 10,000 Saber sect's sect master, Xiao Chun. When he saw this scene, the respect in his eyes intensified. Xiao Chun's figure flashed and arrived before this person. He asked expressionlessly, "How did it go?" Lan Chou knelt on one knee and said respectfully, "Reporting to Master, the Misty Sword sect has been completely destroyed. From now on, the Great Qin nation will never hear the words Misty Sword sect again. The sect master was killed, and Chu Chaoyun's whereabouts are unknown." Xiao Chun paused for a moment and said coldly, "Hand over the things." Lan Chou nodded and stood up. He took out rows of boxes from his spatial ring. The boxes were all neatly arranged with piles of medial-grade spirit stones. There were at least 30,000 boxes densely packed together. Dense spiritual energy flowed out of the boxes, filling the entire mountain peak with a sticky spiritual energy. Xiao Chun glanced at them and frowned. There are exactly 10 million medial-grade spirit stones. Is that all the Misty Sword sect's 10,000 years of accumulation? Lan Chou's chest tightened. He knew that Xiao Chun was starting to suspect him. He quickly said, "I guess that Chu Chaoyun took at least half of it. That's why there are so few. However, there are still 50,000 superior grade spirit stones and hundreds of 3,000-year-old spirit herbs." Not daring to be slow, Lan Chou took out all the Misty Sword sect's wealth. Xiao Chun's expression turned grave and stern. He nodded and said, "Never mind, I'll make do." Bang! 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 With a thought, the 30,000 boxes containing medial-grade spirit stones exploded. The spirit stones shattered as well. The 10 million medial-grade spirit stones turned into a sticky liquid drifting in the air. Xiao Chun's expression did not change. He stood upright with one hand and grabbed forward with his right hand. Hoo! Hoo! The sticky liquid covering the entire mountain formed a whirlpool that spun continuously. Xiao Chun slowly removed the impurities of the medial-grade spirit stones. Finally, Xiao Chun refined the essence of the 10 million medial-grade spirit stones into a small medicinal pill. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The medicinal pill melted when it entered his mouth, turning into surging essence and returning to his dantian. Xiao Chun closed his eyes and slowly absorbed the essence. After a long time he opened his eyes. There was some dissatisfaction on his stern face. 10 million medial-grade spirit stones can only reduce my time by 3 years. The amount of energy required to advance to martial sage is too great. Lan Cho swallowed hard in his heart. Only this person in front of him would dare to say such bold words. That was 10 million medial-grade spirit stones, the accumulation of the Misty Sword sect for 10,000 years. Yet he swallowed it just like that. Unexpectedly, he was still dissatisfied. Lan Cho suggested in a soft voice, "Master, the Night Spirit Palace is destroyed, and the Misty Sword sect is destroyed as well. Now, only the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is left in the Great Qin Nation. When should we make a move? We will wait for Master's instructions." Lan Cho was very clear that Xiao Chun had established the 10,000 Saber sect only for the sake of gathering more resources. He had never cared about the authority of the secular world. This was also the reason why Lan Cho had sworn to follow Xiao Chun to the death. Xiao Chun did not care about authority, but Lan Cho did, destroying the 3 great sects and pressuring the royal court. That way, the 10,000 Saber sect's authority would reach its peak. Lan Cho could not help but get excited just thinking about it. Heavenly Saber Pavilion? The image of a girl appeared in Xiao Chun's mind. He shook his head and said, "There is no need. You can go first. After I enter closed-door cultivation for 3 days, I will send my troops to the imperial capital and destroy the Great Qin Nation's royal court." Xiao! Xiao! Xiao Chun stretched out a finger and quickly tapped the air. With every tap, a superior-grade spirit stone appeared. Under Xiao Chun's command, 50,000 superior-grade spirit stones formed a huge peak-grade spirit-gathering formation floating above the 10,000 Saber sect. Xiao Chun's body floated up and he sat firmly in the center of the formation. All the lines on the spirit-gathering formation immediately lit up. Rumble! The clouds churned and drops of pure spiritual energy slowly fell on the formation. Finally, they all returned to Xiao Chun, who was in the center of the formation. Inside the ancient desolate tower, Ding Fengqiu and Zuomo's battle had reached a crucial moment. Bang! The palm wind and sword qi clashed. The two of them each took half a step back, and blood leaked out of the corner of their lips. However, they were evenly matched. However, if one looked carefully, Zuomo had more injuries than Ding Fengqiu. In the overall battle, he was at a disadvantage. Zuomo said softly, "You win." "Kase." Ding Fengqiu withdrew his sword and shook his head. He smiled bitterly and said, "The space here is narrow. It limits your strength. Let's consider it a draw." Zuomo smiled faintly and did not deny it. He looked at the door of desire and said, "You really do not intend to give it a try, right?" Ding Fengqiu had a deep gaze as he looked at the flickering door of desire. He shook his head and said, "There's no need. Desire is hard to bear. I will not be able to walk through this door before the age of 30. I will only sink into it forever." "Who do you think is most likely to walk through this door of desire?" Zuomo asked. After thinking for a while, Ding Fengqiu said, "Chu Chaoyan. Xiao Chun's desire is too obvious. This is the path to the peak of cultivation. When one's desire reaches its peak, one will sink deeper and deeper. In the end, one will completely lose oneself." Zuomo smiled faintly and said, "We will see. However, I truly hope that he can walk out of it. Over the years, the 5th floor has always been a hurdle. If he can walk out of it, he will definitely experience a qualitative improvement." Chapter 483. The two did not say anything more. They each removed the jade pendants on their chests. They needed to have the jade pendants to remain in the ancient desolate tower. If they destroyed their jade pendants, they would be sent out of the ancient desolate tower. Hua! The two crushed their jade pendants at the same time and turned into beams of dim light shooting out of the ancient desolate tower. At the foot of the Tianwu Emperor, Shi Hailong watched Zuomo and Ding Fengqiu forfeit. The light in his eyes intensified. Only Chu Chaoyun and Xiao Chun remain. We will know who that person is soon. An elder at the side added, "It has been a few years already, and no one has been able to clear the 4th floor. This time 2 people appeared. Furthermore, they are trying to clear the 5th floor. This is quite rare." Li Xiuzhu, who had been silent all this while, smiled coldly. "The 5th floor is the door of desire. If you do not come out within an hour, You will sink into oblivion. Li Xiaozhu's heart turned cold. He had not expected that the brat he did not think highly of would be able to continue. First, Xiao Chan obtained 100 consecutive victories, obtaining one of the 20 spots. Now he cleared 4 floors and reached the 5th floor. If he allowed Xiao Chan to continue, he would have nowhere to hide. Li Xiaozhu thought about how he had made things difficult for Xiao Chan back then. At that time he would have nowhere to hide his old face. Damn brat, you better sink into oblivion, Li Xiaozhu cursed in his heart. Inside the door of desire at the main peak of the 10,000 Saber sect, it had been raining for 3 days and 3 nights already. Every night, the spiritual rain with motes of light in the air was a spectacle of the 10,000 Saber sect. It could be seen clearly from the foot of the mountain. However, the 10,000 Saber sect disciples were not surprised by this. Every time they destroyed a large sect, such a situation would occur. They knew that the sect master Xiao Chan was using the ancient formation to cultivate. Furthermore, after he came out of closed-door cultivation, he would start another expedition. Now, the 10,000 Saber sect could be said to be unbridled in the Great Qin nation. Practically no one could stop them. Even the Imperial Dragon Legion of the royal court had to retreat, not daring to clash with them. Everyone knew that the current Xiao Chan was the Thunder King of the past. Sooner or later, he would step into the threshold of Martial Emperor and become a true peak expert. The 10,000 Saber sect had countless small and large forces coming to join them every day. I wonder which target he will choose after he comes out of closed-door cultivation. Right now, the Great Qin nation only has the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and the Royal Court. I feel that it will be the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. After all, the royal clan still has their accumulations. Princess Ying's strength is close to the sect masters. It will be hard to deal with them. However, I heard that the sect master came from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion back then. Why would he make a move against the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? After all, are there still any feelings? So what if you have feelings? After reaching Martial Sage, the resources you need to cultivate will reach an astronomical figure. If you do not plunder those large sects, how can you guarantee a fast cultivation speed? At the foot of the mountain, a few patrolling core disciples of the 10,000 Saber sect were chatting about Xiao Chen's next target. Assemble! At this moment, the bell in the hall on the mountainside began to ring. It rang a total of 12 times. The patrolling disciples immediately revealed excited expressions. They stopped chatting and headed for the entrance of the hall. The thousands of core disciples of the 10,000 Saber sect had all gathered in front of the huge hall. Lan Cho, who was on a high platform, looked at the crowd below with a pleased expression. We will rest for the night. Tomorrow morning, we will advance to the imperial capital. Lan Cho waved his hand, and his resonant voice resounded throughout the entire mountain. The well-trained core disciples didn't say anything and immediately scattered in all directions to begin their final preparations. The essence of the 50,000 superior grade spirit stones in the spirit gathering formation was completely exhausted. A strand of spiritual fire came out from under Xiao Chan and spread throughout the entire formation. Xiao. As the spiritual fire burned, all the materials were burned away. Xiao Chan stood in the air with a bright light in his eyes. Indeed, superior grade spirit stones are more effective. However, this rank 9 spirit gathering formation exhausted too many superior grade spirit stones. I have to go to the royal court, Xiao Chan said resolutely as he looked in the direction of the imperial capital. Early the next morning, hundreds of warships hovered in the air above the 10,000 Saber sect. Banners fluttered in the wind from the bows of the warships. Xiao Chan stood on the summit and watched all this with a cold expression. He had no feelings for the sect under him. Everything was just a pawn for him to gather resources. The authority of the mundane world was just mundane in his eyes. It was the shackles of a cultivator, a desire, an emotion that had to be severed. Xiao. With a thought, a scarlet light flickered on Xiao Chen's forehead, and a scarlet throne appeared from nowhere. Xiao Chan sat on the throne, holding the lunar shadow saber in his right hand, and holding it to the bottom of the throne. Riding on the continuous blood clouds under the throne, Xiao Chan arrived in front of the fleet in a flash. He raised his left hand slightly and flew forward without saying anything. On the flagship, when Lan Cho saw Xiao Chen's gesture, He quickly shouted, "Depart!" Leading all the elites of the 10,000 saber sect, Xiao Chun leaned on the scarlet throne. He supported his chin with his right hand and held the lunar shadow saber with his left. He closed his eyes lazily and rested. Even though his eyes were closed, he did not emit any aura. However, on the throne, Xiao Chun still gave off the impression of being unparalleled, looking down on the world. The aura of a supreme king spread out. The cultivators passing by did not hesitate to give way. Furthermore, they retreated silently. They were afraid that they would startle Xiao Chan and invite a great disaster upon themselves. Qi. Qi. The scarlet mark on Xiao Chen's forehead started to flicker continuously. He opened his eyes and a faint expression flashed on his somewhat charming and fair face. About 10 kilometers in front there were many golden warships. They were the Great Qin Nation's Imperial Dragon Legion. On the flagship, an old man wearing golden battle armor looked at Xiao Chun with a grave expression. There was some anxiety in his eyes. The old man's qi and blood surged, and a strong aura soared into the sky. People could clearly feel it from 10 kilometers away. On the throne, Xiao Chun straightened his body and muttered, "Nangong Lai? What can a half-step martial sage do?" Xiao. The throne doubled its speed and flashed forward. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chun arrived in front of the Imperial Dragon Legion on a red cloud. Xiao Chun is here. Seeing the red cloud in the sky, the people on the warships panicked. Everyone had nervous expressions. "Xiao Chun, do you really want to destroy the Great Qin Nation that much?" Nangong Lai shouted angrily as he looked at Xiao Chun from the flagship. Xiao Chun replied expressionlessly, "I don't want to. I only need resources. All I seek is the peak of the martial way." Nangong Lai scolded, "Sophistry. How is this any different from destroying the Great Qin Nation?" Xiao Chun said calmly, "Destroying the nation is just a means, not the end. I only have one goal from start to end." "How stubborn. Don't think that you can cover the Great Qin Nation with one hand." Nangong Lai shouted, and his figure flickered in the air. He threw a palm strike and a scorching palm wind smashed at Xiao Chun. A strong wind blew, and the force of this palm strike caused the air to boil. Boundless flames surged out. Xiao Chun shook his head and said, "After so many years, you are still stuck at half-step martial sage. You are not strong enough." Bang! Xiao Chun pointed at Nangong Lai from afar, and a huge azure finger appeared. Then it struck Nangong Lai's chest, and there was a loud sound. Nangong Lai vomited a mouthful of blood and flew back. His figure spun around. Nangong Lai's figure flickered, and an inferno saber appeared in his hand. Flames gathered on the saber, forming a resplendent saber light. Boom! The saber light chopped down ferociously, and the space above Xiao Chen's head was chopped in half, leaving behind a pitch-black spatial tear. Xiao Chun sat on the scarlet throne. He could not even be bothered to draw his lunar shadow saber. He stretched out a finger above his head and gently blocked this saber strike. Nangong Lai did not give up. His saber gave off a 200-meter-long saber light. His figure flickered, and he surrounded Xiao Chun, sending out countless saber images in all directions. Bang! 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 Xiao Chun stretched out a finger and moved it up and down, blocking the overwhelming saber light 1 meter in front of him. Sparks exploded on the saber light. However, it was useless against Xiao Chun's quintessence shield. Xiao Chun looked at the feudal Nangong Lai, who continued to work hard. He said, "Your talent is not bad, and you became famous at a young age. Do you know why your progress is so slow? Why are you still stuck at half-step martial sage after so many years? You do not have resources. If you could consume 10 million medial-grade spirit stones in one go, you would be able to break through immediately. Unfortunately, you do not have the courage to do so. So you can scram now." Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold, and he formed a claw with his right hand. An azure-colored dragon claw instantly appeared, and a resonant dragon roar resounded. The dragon claw pressed forward, and the laws of the world changed. Nangong Lai, who was a kilometer away, appeared uncontrollably in front of Xiao Chun. Scram! Xiao Chun swung the back of his right hand, and the dragon claw moved with it. Nangong Lai's internal organs were injured, and he fell to the ground like a broken kite. Fire! He just used the laws of the world. He cannot use the power of the world for now. Nangong Lai shouted with all his might after he landed. Ding! 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 The strengthened ancient demonic energy cannons on the Imperial Dragon Legion's warships instantly fired. Thousands of sharp cannonballs flew at Xiao Chun. The cannonballs formed a resplendent and magnificent scene in the air. If thousands of ancient demonic energy cannons struck Xiao Chun at the same time, even a martial sage who could not circulate the laws of the world would suffer. Xiao Chun looked coldly at the descending Nangong Lai. A murderous intent rose in Xiao Chun's heart. His original intention of sparing Nangong Lai's life vanished. An azure-colored finger appeared at lightning speed and tapped Nangong Lai's forehead. Wuxia. A bloody hole instantly appeared. After doing all this, Xiao Chun circulated his quintessence and started to block the incoming ancient demonic energy cannons. Bang! Thousands of energy beams that could shatter mountains struck Xiao Chun's quintessence shield. The quintessence shield only lasted for half a second before shattering. Pa! 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 The beams of light struck Xiao Chun's body continuously. Xiao Chun allowed his body to churn and his internal organs to move. However, his expression did not change at all. However, it seemed even colder. When the beam of light stopped completely, when the beams of light stopped, Xiao Chun wiped the blood off his lips and looked at the Imperial Dragon Legion indifferently. He said coldly, "Scram." All Xiao Chun wanted was the resources of the royal court. He did not hate this group of people. If Nangong Lai had not schemed against him at the last moment, he would not have killed them. Chapter 484. It was not that he was soft-hearted. He just could not be bothered to waste his energy. The vice commander on the flagship suppressed the horror in his heart and said, "Don't be frightened. He must be suffering from internal injuries. He will not last much longer. Continue charging the cannons and prepare to fire." Xiao Chun's expression changed slightly as he suddenly stood up from his throne. The people on the fleet immediately felt like a tall mountain had suddenly soared up. Their breathing became somewhat labored, and they felt pressure. Their movements of charging spirit stones became sluggish. Reckless fool. Xiao Chun's white robes fluttered in the wind as he placed his right hand on his saber's hilt. Rage surged in Xiao Chun's heart. A power that could destroy the world instantly filled his entire body. As long as Xiao Chun drew his saber, even if he could not use the laws of heaven and earth, he could destroy 10-odd warships in an instant. The elites of the Imperial Dragon Legion on the warships would die as well. No matter if they were superior-grade martial kings or half-step martial monarchs, they would all vanish with one saber strike. A horrifying killing chi immediately spread throughout the entire fleet. The cultivators charging the ancient demonic energy cannons with superior-grade spirit stones felt their movements stiffen. It was like their limbs were not listening to them. Just as Xiao Chun was about to draw his saber, his gaze paused. He looked into the distance and saw a golden figure flying over like a meteor. When Xiao Chun saw who it was, he released his grip on his saber and sat back down on his throne. Everyone on the deck immediately heaved a sigh of relief. The huge mountain pressing down on them finally vanished. Their hearts pounded heavily as they felt a chill run down their spines. Xiao Chun remained expressionless. His gaze turned cold as he said in a frosty voice, "I'll say it again, scram." The vice commander on the flagship hesitated. He did not know what to do. They had received orders to stop the invasion of the 10,000 Saber sect. However, in a few moves Xiao Chun killed their commander. He did not even draw his saber. Thousands of ancient demonic energy cannons struck the other party. Although it looked very mighty, the other party only suffered minor injuries. The pressure on them did not decrease at all. "You guys go first. I'll talk to him." That resplendent golden meteor-like figure finally arrived at the crucial moment. The cultivators on the fleet immediately smiled and exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "First princess." The person who came was the royal clan of the Great Qin Empire, the once-in-a-thousand-years genius Princess Ing Yu. She was also the war god that everyone in the Imperial Dragon Legion worshipped. Ing Yu wore golden battle armor and held the Grand Imperial Spear in her hand. Golden flames burned in her eyes. She looked as noble and glorious as before, exuding an otherworldly beauty. Upon hearing Ing Yu's words, The vice commander of the flagship heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he directed the Imperial Dragon fleet to retreat into the distance. On the Scarlet Throne, Xiao Chun looked at Yingyu and nodded slightly. Not bad. After not seeing you for 3 years, you finally broke through to Martial Sage. You truly live up to your reputation as a genius. Unfortunately, you are still too slow. Yingyu looked at the calm and stern Xiao Chun, who was seated on the Scarlet Throne. His appearance had not changed at all, but the feeling he gave her was very unfamiliar, very distant. Every time Yingyu saw Xiao Chun's current appearance, she could not help but feel a dull pain in her heart. It was like being stabbed by needles and knives. It was very unbearable. Yingyu suppressed the melancholy in her heart and said coldly, "So what? I will not be like you, frantically plundering and going to extremes for the sake of cultivation." Xiao Chun's heart was as calm as still water, unperturbed. He shook his head and said, "You do not understand. This is the nature of this world. The strong prey on the weak, the survival of the fittest. I am just doing what those people want to do but do not dare to do. Now is the age of geniuses. Without a grand spirit, how can one stand in this age? This is the great Tao. It is just a matter of reaching the peak. All I need to do is maintain my calm." Yingyu laughed involuntarily. Maintain your calm? You still dare to say calm? If you still have a calm mind, why did you not let go of the Xiao clans and the Feng clan's resources? You used your saber to kill everyone from the 2 clans. Xiao Chun's expression did not change. He muttered, "I already repaid what I owed them. All I need are resources. As long as they do not block my path, I will naturally spare their lives and give them an opportunity." A pained expression appeared on Yingyu's beautiful face. She bit her red lips, causing blood to flow out. Her voice trembled as she asked, "In that case, now that I am in your way, will you kill me as well?" A cold wind blew, gently ruffling the hair on Xiao Chun's forehead. No emotions could be seen on his fair and charming face. On the Scarlet Throne, Xiao Chun muttered to himself for a while. Then he said softly, "There is no need to say anything more. Make your move. I will give you 3 moves. There is no need to say anything more. What a good, there is no need to say anything more. In his heart, I can only make him give me 3 moves." Yingyu smiled bitterly to herself and completely severed the ripples in her heart. "As you wish. If you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end." Yingyu shouted and thrust the Grand Imperial Spear forward. A boundless dragon roar resounded behind her. This was the dragon qi that had been passed down in the great Qin nation for 10,000 years. Xiu! A boundless aura suddenly condensed. The instant the spear tip was thrust forward, the entire space seemed to freeze. All the aura gathered on the spear tip. Xiao Chun's eyelids drooped slightly. He focused his gaze on Yingyu, who was a kilometer away. Then he held the lunar shadow saber horizontally across his chest. Yingyu, who was a kilometer away, appeared in front of Xiao Chun in the next instant. She did not even change her posture as she pressed her spear against the lunar shadow saber's scabbard. Such a scene happened in an instant. If one did not know what had happened, it would look like Xiao Chun had placed his saber horizontally across his chest, and Yingyu purposely struck that spot. Dang! A clear and loud sound of collision resounded through the world. As the loud sound waves spread out, the world instantly changed color and became extremely dark. An earth-shattering force surged out from the spear tip. The scarlet clouds below the throne churned continuously. In the end, the scarlet throne Xiao Chun sat on did not move at all. Bang! Xiao Chun pushed his left hand forward. After knocking Yingyu back, Xiao Chun said softly, "One move." Yingyu's expression changed. She swung the Grand Imperial Spear in the air like a staff, hacking down at Xiao Chun. Roar! 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 Countless golden dragon images appeared behind Yingyu. The Grand Imperial Spear seemed to have 10,000 dragon images circling it. It carried a supreme dragon might as it descended on Xiao Chun. Seeing the boundless dragon images, Xiao Chun had a thought. The 18 blue dragon tattoos on his body surged. All 360 acupoints on his body burst open. Azure-colored dragon qi spread throughout his body, roaring endlessly. Its might was no weaker than the dragon qi passed down in the great Qin nation for 10,000 years. Dang! Xiao Chan held the lunar shadow saber in his left hand and struck the throne with the tip of the scabbard. The 18 blue dragons immediately left his body. It circled above Xiao Chen's head, blocking Yingyu's spear strike, which contained a vast dragon might and raging endlessly. Xiao Chan said calmly, 2 moves. Yingyu clenched her teeth, and a golden flame started burning in the depths of her eyes. A dragon-shaped flame quickly circled around the grand imperial spear. The spear trembled, and a golden dragon-shaped flame spewed out. This was one of the famous 4 great dragon flames. In Xiao Chen's eyes, the purple pure yang attributed flame in his right eye, and the purple thunder true fire started burning fiercely. The pale white lunar true fire in his left eye also started burning slowly. 2 flames of opposing attributes appeared from nowhere, carrying an origin flame. Yin and yang merged together. The 2 flames formed a Taiji diagram in front of Xiao Chan. Under Xiao Chen's exquisite control, the 2 extreme yin and yang flames merged naturally and smoothly. There were no obstructions at all. Boom! The 2 flames in the Taiji yin-yang diagram were like U's, flowing quickly. When the tyrannical dragon flames crashed into them, they did not cause any ripples. Xiao Chan pushed his right hand forward, and the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram immediately gave off a bright light. A surging energy surged out and blasted the golden dragon flames into countless sparks. Under the dark sky, the golden sparks were like fireflies scattering in the air. It was very beautiful. When the dragon flame was broken, Yingyu vomited blood from a corner of her mouth. Her beautiful face immediately turned pale. She looked very sad and beautiful in the sky full of golden fireflies. 3 moves are over, Xiao Chen said calmly. He waved his right hand, and the 2 U's swimming speed in the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram suddenly increased explosively. Go! Xiao Chen shouted, and the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram flickered in the air. Then it arrived before Yingyu. Yingyu brandished her spear and created an impenetrable barrier of light before her chest. Bang! 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 Before the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram, the barrier of light only lasted for a moment before shattering. The battle armor on Yingyu's body instantly cracked, and a small item flew out. Yingyu vomited another large mouthful of blood as she looked at the item falling from the air. Shock flashed on Yingyu's pale face. Ignoring her severely injured body, she quickly flew towards that item. Xiao Chan shook his head and sighed. How can you be so distracted during a duel? Ignorant. After resting for a while, he could use the laws of heaven and earth again. Xiao Chan stretched out his hand just as Yingyu was about to touch that item. The formless and irresistible laws of heaven and earth pulled Yingyu's body back to Xiao Chan. Xiao Chan pointed at Yingyu's dantian and crippled her cultivation. Finally, he sealed all her meridians, preventing her from moving. Who? The 10,000 Saber Sex fleet had already flown over. Lan Chou arrived before Xiao Chan first. When he saw the blood on Xiao Chen's lips, he exclaimed, "Master, are you injured?" Xiao Chan did not answer the other party's question. He tossed Yingyu to him and said, "Send someone to watch her. The 2 experts of the royal court have already been crippled. I'll leave the remaining soldiers to you. I'll wait for your news before night falls." Lan Chou quickly said respectfully, "I swear I will not disappoint you." After the 10,000 Saber Sex fleet flew far away, Xiao Chan opened his hand and sucked the small item that Yingyu had been chasing after before she was defeated into his palm. The huge statue of the founding emperor stood in the vast drill ground of the Great Qin nation's imperial palace. The statue was a kilometer tall and looked very majestic. Chapter 485. The first emperor Yingzheng held the grand imperial spear in his hand. His aura swallowed the mountains and rivers as he pointed it at the sky. As Xiao Chan stood on the head of the sculpture, he had a complicated expression. It was unknown what he was thinking. Xiao Chen did not know when it started, but he had gotten used to the feeling of standing at the peak. He was used to the power that allowed him to stand at the peak. However, at this moment he had some doubts. Xiao Chan held a wooden sculpture in his hand. The sculpture depicted a girl with a faint smile on her face. She wore a red floral tutu, looking like a little girl. The person who carved this sculpture was the first princess, Yingyu. However, something had flattened the sensitive area of her chest. A good sculpture had been destroyed just like that. Xiao Chan vaguely remembered that many years ago, when he offended Ying Yu in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he had to carve a sculpture for her every month. Every month they had to carve a statue for each other. Furthermore, they had to dress up differently. They were not allowed to be lazy or slack off, and they were not allowed to be half-hearted. During that period of time, cultivation was extremely tight. However, Xiao Chan did his best to take time to complete this somewhat difficult task. Xiao Chan carved a total of 10 sculptures. Every one of them was much better than the one in his hand. However, he did not know why Ying Yu was so fond of this sculpture. The sculpture lay flat on his palm. With just a thought, Xiao Chan could easily shatter it. Xiao Chen's previously resolute eyes showed some confusion. He felt like his mind was in chaos. It seemed like he had forgotten something very important. A figure flickered in the distance, quickly flying towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chan narrowed his eyes and turned incomparably grave and stern again. Then, he opened his hand and placed the wooden sculpture in his sleeve. "Master, we have finished counting all the natural treasures in the palace. We have also seized the accumulations of some of the large clans in the imperial capital." Lan Chou stood below Xiao Chan as he spoke with an excited expression. It looked like the harvest this time was not small. Xiao Chan said calmly, "Report the number. We have obtained a total of 50 million medial-grade spirit stones and 200,000 superior-grade spirit stones. There are also some medicinal pills and spirit herbs. There are countless of them." Xiao Chan nodded and said, "Well done. Hand them over." Without any hesitation, Lan Chou took out 10 space rings and handed them over respectfully. There were simply too many treasures. A good space ring could not hold them all. 10 space rings were barely enough. There were also some miscellaneous items that could not be included. 10 spatial rings floated quietly in front of Xiao Chan. Lan Chou knew that he shouldn't stay here, so he quickly took his leave. With a thought from Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, he immediately drew out all the 50 million medial-grade spirit stones in his spatial ring. Instantly, the sky was filled with medial-grade spirit stones. "Shatter!" Xiao Chen shouted, and 50 million medial-grade spirit stones exploded at the same time, turning into viscous spiritual liquid that filled the air. Standing on the head of the statue of Ying Zheng, Xiao Chan spread his palms slightly, and the energy that blotted the sky turned into a huge whirlpool, starting to refine and purify them. The huge spiritual liquid whirlpool stirred in the air, and the surging spiritual energy fluctuations caused the heaven and earth to change color. In the sky above the imperial capital, the clouds for 5 kilometers around turned continuously, spitting out a great scene. The winds and clouds changed, looking like the sky would collapse at any moment. Xiao! The change in the sky lasted for a long time before it finally ended. Xiao Chen refined the 50 million medial-grade spirit stones into a small exquisite medicinal pill. Opening his mouth, Xiao Chen directly swallowed the medicinal pill. The medicinal pill melted in his mouth and flowed into his dantian like a vast sea. Xiao Chen closed his eyes and started to refine this energy. A strong aura surged around him. A strong wind howled without end, and lightning flashed continuously. After 15 minutes, Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and a bright light shone from them. "I am just a step away from obtaining Emperor Wu. After I use the spirit gathering formation, I should be able to reach that threshold." He was only one step away from becoming the youngest Emperor Wu in history. Even the Thunder King back then could not compare to him. Not to mention the great Qin nation's first emperor below him. Xiao Chen gently tapped with his finger, and 200,000 superior-grade spirit stones formed a huge spirit-gathering formation under Xiao Chen's control. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged in the center of the formation, and the formation markings gave off a bright light. Immediately, spiritual rain fell from the sky. After the large formation is exhausted, the scattered doors should open for me. Outside the ancient desolate tower, a dim light suddenly flashed in the 5th floor. Everyone's gazes paused and they quickly looked carefully. It was Chu Chaoyun crushing his jade pendant at the last moment. He had given up on the test in the Door of Desire and was directly ejected. It was unknown what Chu Chaoyun experienced in the Door of Desire, but his expression was sullen. After he landed, he ignored everyone and left the Tianwu Plaza without looking back. Shi Hailong frowned slightly and said, "There is only one person left." It looks like that person is really Xiao Chan. However, there are only 7 or 8 minutes left. If he does not come out soon, he will be completely trapped in there. Someone at the side said, there is still a chance. After all, the time in the door of desire is different from the time in reality. 15 minutes for us might be several days for him. Sure Hailong nodded gently and smiled. That's true. There is still a chance. I hope he can comprehend it and dare to let it go. As long as he really lets it go, he can turn back immediately. Li Xiuzhu, who was at the side, smiled coldly and said, how can it be that easy to let it go? His obsession with power is so deep. He can summon the wind and summon the rain in there unrivaled. How can he let go of the feeling of having power in his hands so easily? The calmer he is, the deeper he will sink in there. I believe that he might be trying to break through to Emperor Wu in there. Haha. That is a cultivator's lifelong goal. He is just one step away from it. Will he give up? Li Xiuzhu's words were very unpleasant to hear. However, everyone knew that he was right. The feeling of having power in his hands was not something that could be let go easily. Just wait and see. In another 15 minutes, this brat will not be able to come out. He is destined to sink in there forever. Li Xiuzhu continued smiling coldly. Hearing this, the cultivators who were on good terms with Xiao Chan all showed worried expressions. In the space of desire, the spiritual rain poured down for 5 days and 5 nights before it slowly stopped. A spiritual fire descended from Xiao Chen's body. The entire formation immediately burned up, turning into nothing. Qi. Qi. Suddenly, a golden light lit up on Xiao Chen's body. First, this golden light was not very obvious. However, towards the end it became increasingly resplendent. His clothes, skin, hair. Every strand of his body was dyed golden, dazzling and resplendent. Xiao Chen opened his eyes. His black pupils turned golden as well. He gazed into the boundless sky. At the end of the horizon, an open door appeared. Sung. 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 Steps slowly appeared under the door, extending to a meter in front of Xiao Chan. This was the path of a martial emperor. At the end of the path was the peak of cultivators. As long as Xiao Chan pushed open that door, he would be able to stand above the peak of cultivators. Looking at the shining golden door, a fiery light appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. He got up and walked up the stairs. Clang! Suddenly, the wooden sculpture in Xiao Chen's sleeve fell out and landed on the stairs. It swayed for a long time before it slowly came to a stop. Xiao Chen's gaze paused for a moment, and he slowly retracted his foot. Given his cultivation realm, it was impossible for this sculpture to fall out of his sleeve. The only possibility was that Xiao Chen's heart had become unstable. That was how it could have happened. How can this be? My heart is focused on the great Tao. It is as firm as a rock. I have waited for this moment for more than 10 years. Now that my goal is before me, why is my heart still fluctuating? Am I unable to forget in the end? All this while, Xiao Chen knew that he had forgotten something very important. However, for the sake of the great Tao in his heart, even though he knew that it was very important, he was not willing to think about it. This was because if he thought about it, he might lose the power to destroy the world. He could not afford to gamble on it, nor was he willing to gamble on it. However, no matter how he lied to himself, Xiao Chen told himself that he actually cared a lot about the things he had forgotten. After seeing Ying Yu's sculpture, this care had unknowingly seeped into the depths of his heart. Xiao Chen closed his eyes, and there was a huge battle in his mind. If he stepped on this path to heaven, he would be able to ascend to the great Tao and truly stand at the peak of cultivation. However, once he stepped on it, he would never be able to remember the things he had forgotten. Leave no regrets. Suddenly, Xiao Chen heard these 4 words in his mind. He did not know where that voice came from, but he suddenly remembered it. Leave no regrets. Leave no regrets. Xiao Chen muttered these 4 words twice in his heart. Then, he suddenly felt enlightened, and a smile appeared on his face. If I really forget some important things, even if I ascend to the great Tao, it will be a lifelong regret. With regrets, my mental state will never be perfect. If my mental state is not perfect, I will never be able to climb to the limits of martial emperors. I cannot leave any regrets in my heart. Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes, and the golden light in them immediately vanished. His eyes became clear, and the golden light on his body quickly vanished as well. In the end, all the golden light scattered. Xiao Chun, dressed in white, regained his calm. The open door instantly closed, and the path to heaven shattered into pieces. Only the wooden sculpture remained, drifting down alone. Xiao Chun grabbed the sculpture and leaped down. With a few flashes, he arrived in the room where Ingyu was locked in. Ingyu was very weak due to the seal. It was like a cool breeze could blow her away. When she saw Xiao Chun outside, she said coldly, "Why are you not searching for your great Tao? Why are you here?" Xiao Chun gently tossed the wooden sculpture to Ingyu and replied, "The great Tao is important. However, there are some things that are even more important than the great Tao. For example, this." Ingyu caught the wooden sculpture and looked at Xiao Chun in shock. She said, "You still remember this wooden sculpture?" Xiao Chun smiled gently. The usually stern expression on his fair face now turned gentle. He said, "I remember. I will never forget it." At this moment, Xiao Chun completely let go. Right after he spoke, his body turned into many afterimages and slowly vanished from this space of desire. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.